now, yeah. Make all the demons quiet, yeah. We were built to thrive, yeah. I think that we've all had enough. What keeps you up at night, yeah. Make all the demons quiet, yeah. We were built to thrive, yeah. I think that we've all had enough, yeah. I think that we've all had enough. Sick of dealing with the old plan. They know that we're calling it wrong. You got me like, oh yeah. I think that we've all had enough. Sick of dealing with the old plan. They know that we're calling it wrong. Hey, it's too late to try to go contain it. A generation fueled by creation. We live lives on a small screen nation. We control the airwaves, no negotiation. I refuse to think we need saving. Something good will come from creation. And when we think that the world is too anxious, we'll adapt, evolve, survive, and save it. What keeps you up at night, yeah. Make all the demons quiet, yeah. We were built to thrive, yeah. I think that we've all had enough. What keeps you up at night, yeah. Make all the demons quiet, yeah. We were built to thrive, yeah. I think that we've all had enough, yeah. I think that we've all had enough. Sick of dealing with the old plan. They know that we're calling it wrong. You got me like, oh yeah. I think that we've all had enough. Sick of dealing with the old plan. They know that we're calling it wrong.
Oh, look at me. I'm retarded. I'm a globe.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Sovereign Soul Unchained Mind, coming to you 250 miles above your imagination in this IT nightmare we call the International Fake Station. I'm joined by my co-host and good friend, Something Wong from the Chinese Communist Party, who is here to monitor my every activity as we brainwash you to think for yourself. So we've got a lot of good people in here in the audience so far tonight. And we've got a very special guest, Pastor Will Duffy of The Final Experiment is joining us here in just a few moments. If any of you are not familiar with The Final Experiment, well, what the hell is wrong with you? No, I'm just kidding. Most of you are aware of what it is. It's where we're going to have a flat earther or flat earthers and flat earth haters going to Antarctica to see if they can witness a 24-hour sun during the months of December, when the sun, of course, it's at its zenith over or near the Tropic of Capricorn, and it's furthest southern point that it goes during the winter solstice. And so let's see, I've got Saddle Bum, Pale Horse Rider, Julio Lua, Carrie Skates, David Young, Yahova's lovely daughter, Barbara, welcome. Some of the best moderators here, Quasar's here, RF Killing Me, Mojo Shop, Maria Walker, Saddle Bum, Nate X, Use Your Illusions. Oh my God, I've got so many Tony Coriolis, but we've only got a little bit of time and I can't get through everybody right now. So if I miss you, I apologize. So without any further ado, I will bring up Pastor Will Duffy from The Final Experiment. Good evening, Will. How are you tonight?
Good evening. Great. Your intro brought me back to high school. That sounded like maybe the Beastie Boys.
Oh, it's copyright-free music. You can get it from the YouTube, in the studio. And there's a band, they've got some pretty catchy stuff called Nefix, and it's copyright-free. And I was like, I like what that thing has to say. I like the beat to it. And I just sat down and I put, what's my show usually about? So I put things that pertain to it together, and it just seemed to work out really well. So
cool. I like it.
Great. So as you guys, the Final Experiment, this is taking place in December. Is that correct?
Yeah, December 14th through the 18th will be the days that we are in Antarctica at Union Glacier.
Union Glacier Camp. And that's like you're going to Argentina. Am I correct? Punta Arenas, is that the place is that correct?
It's Punta Arenas, and it's actually in Chile.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So
And
the
then you
southern tip of South America.
okay. And so then you're gonna fly from that point to, I guess that everybody's familiar with. There's a little peninsula that sticks out like just south of that point, and
Yeah,
then you travel inland. In about how far inland are you going to go?
yeah. So we'll fly right over that peninsula, and we'll be right at 80 degrees south. So
Wow.
it's almost a 5-hour flight from the very southern tip of South America.
Oh wow. It's going to be cold though too, isn't it? That's what. See, that's the one thing that would keep me from going right there is I despise the cold like nothing else. I'm like the guy in that old poem, The Cremation of Sam McGee. I despise it. I'm here in Virginia. Anything below 70 to me, it's like, no, I'm not even going outside. Hell with that.
Yes, it will be cold, but from what I hear, it's kind of a once in a lifetime opportunity. And I hear Antarctica is beautiful as well. So we will see.
Now, this company, I guess, as they've got a majority of these camps that are there. The one you guys are going to, I guess, is called the Union Glacier Camp, and we've looked at some video of it here on the show, and looked over the brochure and stuff. How many would you say? How many trips a year do you think that? Where they're taking people to this thing for, I guess, what is it, 4 or 5 days? I mean, is this like something that's constantly going all the time? Because that's a pretty heavy price, man. I can't see people having, that many people having that kind of, extra cash laying around to say, hey, let's go down to Antarctica for a couple of days. It's really seems quite expensive, especially when the one that takes you right down to the pole. I mean, it's right there. And I thought, man, that would be the ideal spot. And then I looked at the price tag on that, and I was like, now, somebody please explain to me how you can justify an extra 50 grand on that, man. I just don't see where it could cost you $83,000 to travel to anywhere else on this earth,
It's very expensive, but there's a lot of wealthy people in the world that like to do things that a lot of people haven't done or things that they've never done. Antarctic Logistics and Expeditions is the company we're using. They're not the only company that flies tourists to Antarctica, but they are the best in my opinion. I refer to them as ALE. ALE does quite a few trips each year. I don't know exactly how many they do, but they do ski trips, they do skydiving trips, they do mountain climbing trips. Our trip is really just an Antarctica trip. And then they also do South Pole trips as well. So they have Union Glacier Camp. They have another camp called Three Glaciers Retreat. And then they also have a camp at the South Pole. So they're pretty busy. I would guess they probably do a dozen trips a year. And and their trips are only going to be during the southern summer. So their busy season would be kind of end of November to the beginning of February.
I think that's a company, a friend of mine. I worked at a resort in Death Valley a few years back. I was a cook there. And one of the guys that worked in the kitchen there with me, he'd been applying to work as a cook someplace there in Antarctica. And I think it might have been that same company. I'm not sure. I don't know if he ever got it or not either, but that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, they have chefs, so it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, I mean, they have to. I mean, it's like you got to dress that up. I was looking at all these things like that are so expensive. There's a company, another one coming out that's recently going to be able to take people up to 125, 130,000 feet with this huge helium balloon. It's as big as a couple of football fields, and it takes this compressed. It's a just like the compression in an aircraft. You've got everything sealed up, and it takes you up to that destination. And I think it's for 12 hours. And they serve cocktails and all that good stuff, luxury seating, all that good stuff. But that one's like $55,000 a seat. And I'm like, man, I can only imagine having that kind of, yeah, sure, let's just go. Why not? And I'm like, oh, crap.
Personally, I'm not a fan of trying new things. So if some new company is doing that, I'm going to wait and see and let other people do it first. Fortunately, ALE's been in business since like 1987, and we're just flying on a 757 jet, which all of us have probably already been on. So from a safety standpoint, I'm comfortable with that.
Right, right. I can dig that, man. It's sort of like there was always that kid though that he would try it first, and you could find out whether it was something you should do or not. Yeah, I remember that. Oh my word. Yeah, so I thought this was really interesting that and this was kind of something that really got to me, kind of blew my mind when I first got into the flat earth. See, a lot of people, this is something that gets me, is that most people, this is a really telling statement. Oh my God, you still think the earth is flat? And I'm like, what do you mean still think the earth is flat? Do you mean that you thought it was flat too and then came to the idea that it was a globe somehow? Or do you think that I somehow transported here from the 12th century? So I think that statement, but one of the things I took for granted was I was under kind of the assumption. Now, I've been exposed to the Bible and exposed to religion, and Christianity, mostly the Seventh-day Adventist aspect of it, since I was a little kid. And I was kind of under the assumption that a pastor would automatically think and believe that the earth was flat, that it was covered with a dome, as is depicted in like all kinds of Christian literature and things like that from the past and all of this, right? And I was shocked to find out that there were Christian pastors that were believing that they were in a globe. And I'm thinking to myself, hold on a second, man, because there was a lot of stuff that wouldn't jive with me with that. And then later, when I came under the conclusion through study and knowledge that the whole heliocentric model, this whole thing, was actually a push by the Catholic Church, by the Vatican, to discredit the word of the Bible, which was now out in the hands of the common man, thereby taking the authority away from the Bible and giving it back to the Vatican, the church itself. In fact, the Big Bang Theory is literally came up by a Jesuit priest, and that's one of the things. And so I have to ask you, even with that aside, and I like to ask most people that believe they're on a globe this very same first question right off the bat. If no one had ever told you that you lived on a globe Earth spinning through a solar system or whatever, right? What in your daily observations and or experiences would ever lead you to the idea that I must be on a ball that's spinning around in a solar system?
Yeah, it's a great question. And what I've learned in my life is that things are not always as they seem until you look closer at them. And so when we talk about things on a big scale, like the universe and the sun and the earth and planets and stars, sometimes it's helpful to look at the very small as well. And so I can tell you that when I see videos of what is apparently going on 24/7 inside a single cell in my body, I would have never been able to know that myself until scientific advancements like microscopes were able to show that to us. So I don't know if I would have figured out all the stuff that has been figured out, but I'm thankful that science has progressed and continues to progress.
But I think what I'm getting at, though, of course, you can't macroscopically see your cells or microscopically see that on your own, and you need the advancement of optics and things like that to see it. But when you're living your everyday life, you're drinking cups of water, you're eating bowls of food, you're walking across the ground, all your daily experiences, you witness a morning and you witness an afternoon, you just have all these experiences. Of all of those, what would give you, what would lead you into the direction like you're going, hey, based on all these observations and experiences that I've had, I think I must be on a ball-shaped Earth. And it's moving. You see what I'm saying is that this is an idea that has to be told to you, right? And it's sort of like Santa Claus, because you can't go up and check it for yourself. You can't go to the North Pole and check to see if Santa Claus really lives there, right? it's that it starts to become that kind of a story, because outside of being told and shown things from perspectives that you would never have that idea. But then when you find out that a lot of those are, or most of them are manipulated or faked to make you believe this, something that goes against your senses. I understand what you're saying. You cannot always trust your senses, but I think that should be your first go-to, is your senses, you know?
Yeah, you definitely have to start somewhere. But with Santa Claus, you know, I don't believe things without evidence. And so I consider myself evidence-based. And if I'm shown evidence, I will take a good look at it. And if I think it's convincing, I have no problem accepting it.
But didn't they show you like letters, and they showed you pictures, and they showed you the whole story about it and the whole thing? And hell, you even went to the mall and he was there, right? So there was like mounds and mounds of evidence. In fact, the cookies you left out for him the night before were gone now. And there were presents under the tree with your name on it from Santa. Look at all that evidence.
Yeah,
you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's easy to convince a child of something. But once I started noticing that the Santa at the mall was different every year, and then I started seeing the elastic right here, and his beard was fake, I was like, okay, this is not something that's true.
I think the first thing that I started looking at, and this is really crazy for him, a little kid, and then I'm going to welcome Bern to the corporate fiction here. One is that the logistics, I guess that's the best word I could put to it. Because I was like trying to fit stuff together. I'm like, my chimney is nowhere near big enough for this guy to come down. Mom and Dad got an answer for that. Well, he's magic. He can make himself small. He comes down, then he makes himself big again. I'm like, okay. Well, I know it takes like 3 hours to get to Grandma's house, but the airplane down to Florida, and this guy's stopping at everybody, you know, and pretty soon they came down to where they had to go, okay, Santa's not real, but don't tell your brother. Don't tell the other kids. And I was like, oh, shit. So now I got to be part of the lie. See, it was amazing to me. I want to welcome Bern, the corporate fiction, to the show. How you doing tonight, Ryan?
I'm doing well. How about you guys?
Oh, I'm doing good. And I want to introduce you to Will Duffy. Of course, you're familiar with the Final Experiment and things like that. And
yes.
Okay.
Good to meet
you.
So
I was thinking another thing about this. Now, I did see you just put out a video recently by, was it Where's Wally? And he was explaining something about, he didn't really give an IV because you're not really modulating anything to test a result. It's just an observation. And I agree, it can be an important observation, but that's kind of picky shit going on right there. But I was thinking, when you're in that place, regardless of whether you're on a globe or whether you're on a flat, you are going to be south of the Tropic of Capricorn. You're going to be south of the furthest zenith position that the sun makes. So you are going to have to look north to see the sun. And it would be real simple that as it traverses to the west, if it arcs in a west by northwesterly direction at all, you're not on a globe. If it arcs around, if it starts to track, you don't even have to see it for 24 hours. All you have to do is watch which way it tracks. If it goes west by northwest, you're going to be on, you're on a flat earth. If it's going past you in a west by southwest direction, in other words, angling off to this way, arcing around you, then you're definitely on a globe. So I don't even think it would be necessary to see it for 24 hours just to track that little bit of arc. What do you think about that?
I agree with you completely. I appreciate your openness on this and your honesty. That is the position for us. That is the position for you. And I agree with you that we're going to look for that. The helpful thing with the 24-hour sun, if it exists, is that would mean the sun would actually not only do a circle above our heads, but would be due south. And so I think that that would be the one thing that would really solidify and falsify the flat earth model.
Well, I'm also looking at some other things too, and I'm taking into consideration, and being that you're a pastor, the idea that there is a firmament. Now we've seen in some extreme areas where we see the sun and then we see these brightness around it, like what they call sun dogs. And many flat earthers have said that that is a reflection on the firmament itself. Now, what I'm saying is that now check this out, if you see it arc west by northwest, but then later see what appears to be a sun behind you, that means one of two things: that there is two suns, or the sun you see there is a reflection on a firmament or something. Because you got to agree, if it starts tracking west by northwest, it can't suddenly change direction and go the other way, right? So that would be something to look for. So that would be interesting observation as well. That would be telling us a little bit more about it, you know?
Yeah, we'll definitely look for a second sun. If we find one, I expect some sort of an award, because I don't think a second sun has ever been photographed or videoed in Antarctica.
Because I believe that's one of the reasons for the long periods of daylight, but not seeing the sun. You know, like just at dawn, before the sun rises, you have daylight, but you don't have sunlight yet. And that's really interesting, because when you go up and you look, and this is what I think's going on here, is when you see at these high altitude photographs, and it looks like there's like this glow above the earth. There's like a glow there. I think that that's the positive electromagnetic of the sun exciting the gases, the noble gases in the atmosphere, and causing them to glow and give light. I think, have you ever seen what happens when you expose noble gases to a positive electromagnetic field?
I haven't.
It's really cool. I can do it with like a little plasma ball. You know, one of them things at a party, you turn it on, you can stick your finger on it, and then electricity comes up and touches your finger, right? All I have to do is take a fluorescent bulb and get somewhere near it. Just get somewhere near that, within the positive electromagnetic range of it, and that bulb will start glowing in my hand. It's because the gases inside are excited by that positive electromagnetic field. And you can do that with nitrogen, these other noble gases, and they glow the colors of our sky. It's pretty interesting. But yeah, Ryan, did you have any questions that you wanted to ask? I didn't want to leave you back there.
Oh no, man. I mean, you know, you were doing your thing. I do have some questions for Pastor Will. So obviously you came into like a fortune of sorts, right? You kind of self-made guy, right? You made a bunch of money. What was it? You sold a book or something? I watched you on Jeranism, but I think I was at work, so I was listening. So yeah, you came into some money, obviously, right?
Yes, I actually wrote 3 books. They all did very well. I had my own business, and I did have a successful stretch there for sure.
Okay, well, congratulations on that. Now, prior to getting this windfall here, were you interested in the flat Earth? What started your interest in flat Earth?
Yeah, I didn't even know about it. So how I got into flat Earth was actually in 2021. So about a little over 2.5 years ago. A friend of mine, she posted on Facebook about flat Earth. And when I saw it, I immediately thought it was a joke, but there weren't laugh emojis on it. So I clicked the comments and I started reading the comments, and I was like, wow, she appears to be serious. I must be missing something. So I engaged with her in the comments, and I found out that she was serious. That was my first time being like, okay, so this flat Earth thing is a real thing. And then she started giving me information, and I didn't just shun her or mock her or make fun of her. I was like, no, I will listen to what you have to say. So I started watching the videos, reading the articles, and before you knew it, I was a couple miles deep in the flat Earth rabbit hole.
Okay, understandable. So prior to coming up with this final experiment, how did you do anything with flat Earth or trying to disprove? Did you go around like on a debate circuit, or was it like an important thing that you spent a lot of time on? you know?
Yeah. So what I did is someone, a flat earther, I have no idea who it was. It was someone in like a Facebook group or something, made a comment. And I don't even remember if it was to me, but they made a comment that there was an image of Earth from space on NASA's website that had duplicated clouds on it. And I thought there's no way that's true. So I pushed back. He gave me a link to NASA's own website. It wasn't like he was just giving me a meme. I went to NASA's website. I saw with my own eyes, there's duplicated clouds on this image. I thought that image was a photograph of Earth from space. At that moment, and by the way, this is an important moment in all of our lives when we're shown something that contradicts what we believe. Most people, sadly, are going to just ignore it and say, you know what, I don't care. I'm not looking into this. You're wrong. I'm right. But I was like, you know what? I need to look into this because that is something right there. That is something. And so I actually spent many, many hours, way too many hours, if you ask my wife, looking into this, looking at the arguments from both sides. And I did that for a while, for many months, before I actually got involved in putting out a handful of YouTube videos on the topic. And then I was on Jaronism and had a discussion with Jaron and Austin Whitsitt on the topic.
Okay. Because, well, the reason I ask is, and you do think that the Earth is a globe, right? Just so I'm clear, because I see yeah. Okay.
Yes.
So, that's it's odd to me because, I mean, the amount of money that, and just because I don't understand somebody's motivations doesn't mean that it's automatically suspicious by default. I don't have to understand your motivations, but I look at it objectively. And so now if you were a flat earther and you came into a fortune, I could see shelling out all this money because you realize how important this understanding, if you were a flat earther, you'd realize the depth of the lie, the hoax, like you just said, fake photographs on NASA. So it's obviously important to, get to the bottom of it. And then, I could see paying for a trip to go prove that it is flat. But coming from a globe, it's almost like, if it's so ridiculous to you, right, or like to any glober, right, the concept of like, how could the Earth be flat? That's absolutely ridiculous, right? But I'm going to go shell out over $100,000 just to show you how ridiculous it is, right? That doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, so the final experiment is actually a little bit different. When I came up with this idea of going to Antarctica and seeing whether or not there's a 24-hour sun, it was mainly for two reasons. One, there seemed to be agreement from both sides, both the flat Earth side and the globe side, that whether or not there's a 24-hour sun is kind of a definitive thing that would either prove one model or falsify the other model. And the second reason was because of the controversy surrounding it. So the globe side says we have videos of the 24-hour sun. The flat Earth side says there's edits in it. The footage is doctored. The globe side says, well, we have eyewitnesses that have been there and claim they've seen it. The flat Earth side says, no, we have eyewitnesses that have spent a year there and they never saw a 24-hour sun. So the purpose of me doing this is to actually solve this for all of us. Like, I feel like I'm doing both sides a favor and saying, okay, we're not going to trust these videos anymore. We're not going to trust these eyewitnesses anymore. Let's just go down there and see what the sun does for ourselves. And hopefully this will end the debate, is my hope.
Now, you do know that this is not the first quote unquote final experiment?
Yeah.
That there have been others. There was going to be a flight that turned out to be a scam, never took place. We've got this Sir Edmund somebody or another who claims to have trekked it on foot, but if you track his actual way he went in, turned, and then came back out. He didn't actually cross. This is there's over and over and over and over and over and over and over. Like and like Brian said, it's like, wait a second. With everything else, and this is what got me about the flat Earth thing. This is what got me. I too thought it was ridiculous. Okay, I saw it and I thought, oh my God, this is just another thing like the pet rock. Here we go, right? And then I saw that these people were actually serious. Well, like any other goofus doofus, I went and looked at the Flat Earth Society, right? And I went there and I thought, well, this is Bahui. What in the world? Get out of here with that. Well, then Wasn't long after that, a friend of mine came out to visit. I was living in Death Valley, well, right on the edge of Death Valley at the foot of the Sierra Mountains. And a friend of mine come out there and he says, yeah, man. He says, did you know the Earth's flat? And I said, oh my God, just shut up, man. And I said, I went to the Flat Earth Society. He says, no, man, that's a government thing, man. Stay away from that. He said, let me just show you some stuff. And I started looking into it. He showed me some things. It was like 100, so many different proofs of against the thing. And I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna delve into this. I'm gonna debunk this once and for all. I mean, I read Isaac Asimov. I tried to wade my way through A Brief History of Time by Stephen Hawking, and I got lost. I was like, okay, this is just too for me. So I was definitely into it. I was really into, hey, let's explore the universe, blah, 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 blah. But you know what I found? One of the most telling things was a case of me thinks the lady doth protest too much.
Yeah.
Way too much.
That
The
actually,
level of vehement hatred and anger that comes about if you say the earth is not a globe is phenomenal, especially when you step back and look at what's that over. Really?
Right.
If I said the sky is tartan plaid, would I get that kind of a response? Would I lose family and friends over it? No. What is behind that? That is very, very telling to me.
Well, see, that brings
That's
me.
indicative of a belief system, not of truth.
That's kind of what I was getting at there, Dad. Is this the reason I asked him those questions? Is because we're under a different operating perception of life, right? Like we're operating from a different place of understanding than presumably you, believing that this is all ridiculous. We know that this is being covered up. We know that people have actually died over it. There's been assassinations, various people that have tried to come forward about NASA, all that stuff. We know the amount of time and effort, just even the squads of trolls that have to be on a payroll somewhere that literally go around all these different pages. And and that may sound crazy to you, but this is the understanding that we're operating from. And so what you're proposing and the amount of money that's behind it, I mean, comparatively to other things that are going on, other experiences, it may not be that much money, but in this community on this topic, the amount of money you're proposing to spend is significant. Not only that, but the amount of attention this little thing's receiving from, tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people are aware of this. There has to be something else behind this. There has to be somebody prompting you from an intelligent, and I don't mean to offend you or anything like that. This is just logically based on knowing what it is and what's going on. There has to be something behind this. There just has to be.
I'll take that as a compliment.
Did you come on to what I was wondering is in this final experiment? I understood that. See, and here's something you have to understand. Okay, and I've had this gentleman on my show before as well, and this is what threw up a red flag to everyone in the flat Earth community. As soon as we heard the name MC Toon, everybody's red flag went up and went, okay, something's funny. Something is rotten in Denmark. This don't smell right. Okay. And maybe you're not familiar, but most of us are. And when I said vehement, vile, flat earth haters, that is one that I'm talking about right there. And this is what I found odd. What a strange pairing of a Christian pastor with this guy who literally acts like a possessed demon on camera. And I was like, how did that even come about, man?
Yeah, so I emailed him on January 17th of this year. And I didn't just email him. I emailed Dave McKeegan and Simon Dan. And I emailed them to let them know I was going to be on Jeranism to have a discussion with Austin Whitsitt. Mm-hmm. And MC Toon's response to me was, have you ever even debated flat Earth? And I said no. And then he asked me if I knew a lot about science, and I said no. So his reaction was not a positive one. After the discussion with Jaron and Austin, he asked me to come on his program. I believe it was on January 30th to have a discussion about the discussion. And that's where I learned, that's where I met him for the first time. And that's where I learned his name. The final experiment was already months in the making, and I didn't tell him about it at that point either.
Well, Sean Alke actually asked a pretty good question. I feel like it's pertinent. Why he wants to know why your company doesn't have to follow the rules of Antarctica, the stated rules. You know, that you guys get to break the rules, right? That's an interesting question.
Okay.
Yeah.
So first and foremost, this is not my company. So it's a company that just exists. So Antarctic Logistics and Expeditions, they're their own company. They are members of certain alliances. I don't know the name, but if you want to take tourists to Antarctica on a routine basis, you've got to pay money for permits and be part of these organizations and promise to do certain things and all that. So they check all those boxes.
Isn't that suspicious?
So let me get this straight. You're basically like piggybacking on their permit, right?
Well, we're just joining one of their trips. That's it.
Right. That's what I mean. They're the ones that have the secured permits and everything. Like if you wanted to go yourself, right? I know you have to go, like you don't want to go through a company. You want to do it yourself. You have to go through the whole permit process that this company itself has already gone through. Right. And they've been approved. And this is the thing that I found about it. There's been other people that have tried to do that, and they paid exorbitant amounts of money to get permission and all that. And then it gets denied and they don't get their money back. And that's like, to me, there again, that's designed to discourage. There's the part of that thing that I was talking about. There's too much suppression going on.
Don't you find it odd you have to jump through all those hoops to go to Antarctica in the first place? Isn't that strange?
It could be strange, but it also might not be. So I don't really know. It is one of the last places on Earth that hasn't been, completely destroyed by humans, and they want to keep it that way. So I'm fine with it. And I'm just like, hey, if they're hiding the fact that that there is no 24-hour sun down there, I'm going to expose it. So you got my word on that. You know
that we're talking about the corporate oligarchy. Like, that the world is run by these psychopaths, and you think that they care about preserving plot of land. Like, you think that's actually a viable?
Yeah, they'll wipe out a few million Iraqi children and say, yeah, it was definitely worth it, like Madeleine Albright did. These are the type of people we got running stuff.
And those are just the henchmen. Those aren't even the ones that have the power.
Here's the cool thing. I'm kind of the guinea pig here, right? I'm taking the risk. They might cancel the trip because the final experiment is getting so much publicity. The plane might have a malfunction and can't take off. So
it might have a malfunction.
Dude,
yeah. Sure.
I've thought about all of those things. I'm like, look, there is no way in hell. That's why I said all you'd have to do is watch it track, because I said there is no way in hell they're ever going to let somebody see a 24-hour sun in Antarctica. Now that's of course my very, very strong opinion. Okay. It's a very, very strong opinion, but here's some of the suspect stuff I find about Antarctica. Like the other day I was scrolling through Facebook, and there's a page that's, cool history facts or something like that came up, and it says something about that we discovered this, that, and the other long ago, and Antarctica wasn't discovered until 1820. And I'm like, well, that doesn't jive with this map I have on my wall from 1587, which depicts Antarctica detailed with flora and fauna, not ice, inlets that go in backsides of coasts of some of these little peninsulas of land that seem to be surrounding the world. And I'm like, so where did they get that from if you hadn't discovered it till 1820? And what I find interesting is these depictions from then till now, there's no ice. Where's the ice? That seems to be like a relatively new addition. I'm like, because there's lots and lots of detail regarding the flora and fauna on these areas of land, And let me tell you, when you were making maps back in the day, that was commissioned by very, very rich and powerful people for trade purposes, for war, different things like that, right? And if you just drew some crap that was willy-nilly and wasn't true, well, your head's going on a spike. So
yeah, lots of money depended on those maps. Yeah.
That's a mystery down there, bro. There's a lot I think that they don't want us to see. I really do.
Here's the good news. If you guys are right, and I've already said this publicly and I'll keep saying it, if something happens crazy, like the trip gets canceled or the flight can't take off because there's, problems with the plane's engine or whatever, I'm going to give that as a checkbox to the flat earth side and say, okay, there might be something here. But here's the best part. The best part is the flat earth community as a whole, you guys can all get together and you guys can send someone to Antarctica on one of these trips undercover. Someone that no one knows is affiliated with flat earth. You don't say what you're doing. You're just, I'm just coming along, because here's the reality. These companies that are taking tens of thousands of dollars to take people to Antarctica, they would not get away with it if just one person paid that much money and they didn't actually take them to Antarctica. So we know people are going. And so I would encourage the flat earth community to all get together and send at least one person undercover, and you can expose it that way.
Yeah, but here's the greatest issue. Here's the greatest issue is we're not allowed to freely explore Antarctica. You see what I'm saying? That's not, so they could be taking you to one peninsula or just Antarctica. What we consider Antarctica to most likely be is a border, that it circumscribes our realm here, whatever this is, right? So they could just be taking you to the same spot over and over again. I do have a question for you. I don't want to keep, hogging the airtime or whatever, but
you're all right, man.
So you seem like a fairly intelligent guy. Obviously you're self-made, author, all that stuff. You say that you don't believe something without evidence. Well, my sincere question to you is, what evidence do you have? First, you have to ask yourself which claim sounds more ridiculous, that this is a flat, stationary topographical plane that was created. You already believe that we were created. So you're already most of the way there. And it's literally like the Bible says, right? And, or you are on a ball of water, of fluid pressure without containment in a vacuum somehow, right? Spinning at 1,000 miles an hour, hurtling around the sun at 66,000 miles per hour. And the whole galaxy's traveling through the universe, or whatever it is, a solar system. It's like 1.4 million miles. You get into all these ridiculous notions and numbers that are just so unbelievable. In the very basis of this entire thing, there's no curve. You can't feel any motion, right? And there's literally no actual evidence of the globe. There's no photographs. There's nothing of curvature. So what evidence leads you to believe that the globe is that we're a globe, essentially?
Yeah. So a couple of things. Of course I believe in God. Of course I believe that God created the universe. And so my goal here is to seek out and understand the creation as God created it. That's my goal.
Right.
And so, again, I would be the first person to accept a dome, a firmament, if there was evidence for one. But that's kind of where I'm at. And so that's part of the reason I came up with this final experiment is like, listen, if there is not a 24-hour sun in Antarctica, then I do believe the globe is a lie. What the sun does in the north, the sun must do in the south, because it's a globe. And so that's
why I said, if it even starts to track one way or the other, there it is. There it is.
Yeah. I don't want you guys
spend the rest of the time on a snowmobile or whatever. You ain't even got to stand here watching the sun. You already tracked it. There it is. Boom.
Yeah, I don't want you guys to take the fact that I am on the globe side as the fact that I'm just trying to destroy flat Earth or anything crazy like that.
No, absolutely not. I'm just asking how, like, what first of all, which idea seems more logical? Like, okay, you use one thing that you don't have any evidence of, which is the firmament, right? Yet we deduce that there must be a firmament because we're in a fluid pressure system, right? So
Well,
whatever,
there, I
there
believe
has
there's
to be containment. There
I
has to
believe,
be containment.
yeah, there's a lot of debates that I've again spent hours listening to with arguments that don't seem to really get anywhere. Like this is one of them, right? So I think the flat Earth side has a good argument, which is how do you have gas pressure without a containment? But I also think the globe side has a good argument, which is how do you have a gradient inside of a closed system? Those
That's
are things.
really not a good argument, though, Will, because
Wow.
the antecedent to the gradient is, of course, gas pressure. And you cannot have a specific volume of gas, gradient or not, without containing it. Because gas gas molecules are not bonded. And what's that mean? That they're subject to free elastic collisions. Okay, they're subject to free elastic collisions. They will only stop moving if they hit something, and they will bounce off of it until they hit something else. And if there's nothing there, it will go through what's called dissipation, and it will expand to fill the empty space. Now, the gradient, of course, they're not taking into account. First, they're claiming that gravity has an effect on air or gravity has an effect on gas. This has never been proven, demonstrated, or shown ever that gravity can affect a gas's behavior. Okay, they don't take into account that the sum pressure is a result of the varying pressures of each of the elements in the mixture.
Yeah,
And we start to lose some of those elements along with some of the temperature as we rise in elevation. And as we reduce pressure, we reduce temperature, we lose pressure with gas. This is why, like when you get a cold snap and you go out and your little indicators come on. It happened to me just a few months ago. Got a cold snap. I went out there to start my Jeep and it told me all 4 of my tires were low. Now, how could that be? They were just totally up to pressure the night before, and now they're down below pressure. How could that happen? Did somebody come up and steal my air? No, it got cold. That was all. So they don't take into account these different factors that are in there. They're always looking for a one solution stop. But as I've said, the natural antecedent to gas pressure is a containment, and the natural antecedent to a gas gradient, a pressure gradient, is of course pressure. It stacks, you see, and it can't be its own container. So this is a killer on all parts, even including the claim of a mass of hydrogen somehow forming together. Even though the molecules never bond together, they bounce. Like I said, they won't come together and go, hey, let's hold hands and become a mass. That doesn't ever happen. So that would never happen in the first place. The whole thing loses traction when you question these things that they slipped by you before you had critical thinking skills.
Yeah.
When you were about 5 or 6 years old, and you just accepted it because of your perception of the person that gave it to you. Now, it's not the person that gave it to you's fault, because how did they learn that? The exact same way they're doing it to you. You understand? This is why I ask people, had you not ever been told, what would make you think so?
Exactly. That's a very good question.
And usually I want people to ask that question to themselves. The second big question I want them to ask is, when someone comes to me and says that they believe that the earth is flat, or even assert that the world is flat, why does that upset me? Why does that upset me so badly? And what I've noticed with a lot of them too, when you get into a discussion with a lot of these flat earth haters, it's a very short period of time before they revert to a mental maturity level that's very indicative of the age they were when this crap was ran past them. It is. I've studied this for a few years now, and there's a correlation. There definitely is. And that's why I ask that. I have people say, I ask that question for you to ask yourself. Why does it upset me? And what would ever make me think that if nobody ever told me? I always say, so you think you live on a globe? Did you come up with that yourself?
No, you would never come up with that. Yeah,
of course not.
Yeah, it doesn't upset me. It might upset other people, but it doesn't upset me. I'm in search of truth here, and that's the goal. And I'm going to accept truth, as painful as it might be. I'm going to accept the truth. So that's where I'm at.
Now, do you know what a solar simulator is, man?
No, tell me.
You really don't know okay.
I've heard about them. I don't know what kind of validity there is to it, but yeah, I've seen where it goes. Go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah, well, a researcher, I honestly, from my own personal experience, I don't have 100% proof, but I've seen some stuff, and I've had pictures of stuff, which I don't, and they're on an old phone, which sucks, but anyway, there's a researcher named Jamie Lee. He did a lot of research he actually just died recently, and a lot of people think he was killed. But I mean, generally that would be the first assumption with people that are exposing stuff. He used to be a Wall Street guy. He had a channel called The Plain Truth. Anyways, he had posted a link to a company. It was called like Solarin. I believe it was Solarin. And they had made this sun simulator. It was like the size of a football field, and it was a bunch of mirrors put together. Basically, it made like it was like a big ass, it was like a giant floodlight, basically, I guess. And yeah, why wouldn't they if they could? You know, you've got all these videos of people seeing two suns at the same time, stuff like that. My point is, it's possible. It's possible that the people that are behind this are intending on possibly using something like that, but there'd be no way to prove it, and that's what sucks about that.
I'm going to push back on that. What you're talking about, the sun simulator, I doubt that it provides heat. I doubt that it gives people sunburns. I doubt that they can simulate a sun for many days at a time. I doubt that it lights up gigantic geographic regions. I doubt that it has sunspots. So yeah, if they make a fake sun, we can figure that out.
I got to go with that.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. Knowing the stuff they do have, that's why I don't put it beyond belief. Like the Maui, what happened at Maui? You know what I mean? They got shit like that. You know, you see the weather stuff that they have. Why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they have something like that? You know, and there's been enough buzz around it. Usually where there's smoke, there's fire. But
yeah, I see information. I see information on that going back 6 years. There's one with some stuff on a solar simulator. But I have to agree with Will. And damn my childhood for the fact that I keep wanting to call you Patrick Duffy because he was a popular television actor when I was young, and it just keeps popping in my head. So if I inadvertently call you Patrick, don't get mad. I just want to kind of I have to agree with that, but I say if you can track the tracking, and I saw that I think Where's Wally was in here just a few minutes ago, and he agreed with that as well. So I think that's something I like to see, places where we can come to agreement on shit like that, you know, between the two sides. I just wanted to kind of shift gears a little bit with you, not too far, but some of the crazy stuff, and it's in your wheelhouse. What are your views on the Mandela effect, especially as it pertains to changes in scripture and the patterns of those changes that we've kind of found?
What changes are you referring to?
Well, for instance, in Exodus 34, hang on just a second. Let me find my proper one. It's starting to permeate into others, but let me see. It's Exodus 34:14. And where it now says, for thou shalt worship no other God, for the Lord, whose name is jealous, with a capital J, is a jealous God. Now, I just want to real quick tell you a really wild thing that happened to me. I went and got this King James Bible at the thrift store to highlight any of the Mandela effects that I found within it, or people that point out to me, and I find them worthy, I would highlight them, and I didn't want to mess up my other Bible. So after I highlighted that very passage right there where it says that, I went to flip some pages, and a little piece of paper fell out that was a bookmark that somebody had used previously. This is a little slip of paper. It fell right out of this Bible, and there was only one thing written on it, and it was Psalms 83:18. And so I was like, wonder what 83:18 Psalms, what is that? So I went to it, and it says that men may know that thou, whose name alone is Jehovah, art the most high over the earth. Now, I just got done highlighting this change, which I would consider to be a blasphemy, that God's name is jealous. And then this falls out of the very Bible that I'm looking at and directs me right to the passage telling me what God's name is. Pretty wild, huh? But
Yeah.
that's one. In Moses, we're seeing a missing T's. We're seeing T's being removed out of things. And Moses, what did Moses bring down from the mountain?
Which time?
Well, when he went up there and he came down with the 10 Commandments, what were the 10 Commandments written on? What were they written on?
Tablets of stone.
Not anymore. Now they're tables of stone. The T has been removed. And I remember that because I always thought that was a cool story in church. And I remember that movie with Charlton Heston, and he's got those stone tablets in his arms. And, I was digging on that, and now to see it change like that, I'm like, what?
Okay.
There's a number of different things in here that just are not the way that they should be.
Yeah, I'm starting to understand what you're saying. So as to the name of God, I believe God has many names throughout Scripture. And
but do you remember that passage? That's a pretty famous passage. Do you remember it saying that his name was jealous?
Yes, absolutely.
Really?
Yeah. As to the tablets and tables, hearing that a T is removed, the Bible wasn't originally written in English. So I'm not sure what's going on there. That could be a typo.
The 1611 King James Bible, actually English language, was invented for that. There was kind of a mixture of different things going on at the time. My son and I both I got Greg Brayton back here too. Both of us have looked into this. I have a replica of the 1611 King James Bible, and the notes from the transcriber to the reader are very telling on a lot of things in there. But anyway, I've actually gone back to that. I have a replica of an actual 1611 King James Bible, and I've gone back to that, and it's changed in there too. I mean, I'm talking about family Bibles that people have had on their shelves since, passed on from grandma, and they've looked at it their whole life. And now all of a sudden there are texts that have mysteriously changed. Like Isaiah 16:11, the lion and the lamb a lion doesn't lie with the lamb. No, it's a wolf that dwells with a lamb. And I'm like, and people are saying that's always been a wolf. And it's like, well, how come we have all these lion and lamb ministries? Why do we have all these stained glass windows and these works of arts going back hundreds of years depicting a lion and a lamb? I've never seen any depicting a wolf and a lamb. Where would people be getting that from?
I've got a cool story for you real quick. I was actually researching the King James Bible back in the day, and I learned that the original translators used the 1602 Bishop's Bible as kind of their foundation, and they would write notes in the 1602 Bishop's Bible where they thought it was translated poorly. And I discovered that there's only one original 1602 Bishop's Bible with the original notes from the King James translator, and it's in the Bodleian Library in Oxford, England. And so I reached out to them and explained to them that I was doing a research project, and they said that they would let me see it. They would take it out of its protective storage and let me see it. So I flew to Oxford, got to spend time with the Bible. If you Google my name and King James, you can see pictures of me looking at it. But the coolest part of the whole story is while I was there, an Oxford professor came up behind me and said, "Is that the 1602 Bishop's Bible?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, How did you get the ability to do this? I've never even seen it in person with my own eyes.
That's wild. And you were allowed to examine it. That's pretty special, man.
That's amazing. That's great.
But what I was going to do real quick, and then I'm going to see what Greg had to say, is that one or two things would be one thing, but this started getting me so perplexed, especially because this is actually prophesized in Hosea. It's in It's in Daniel. There will come a time when men search for the ends of the earth for the word of the Lord, but they will not find it. And this is what's going on. I'm finding that it started in King James, and it started to permeate over into other versions of the Bible. So just to cover what's going on, I've actually got a copy of like each Bible. I have an NIV, I have a King James Bible, I have the Jehovah's Witness New Translation. I have just about everything to compare it by. And then I'm keeping track, because those that have not changed yet, they eventually do. This stuff has creeped into the Hebrew text. And what I think is really crazy is because most pastors that I've spoken to about this, oh no, that's a psyop, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no, man, you better look for yourself. I'm telling you, I've been around this stuff for years. Although I'm not an avid churchgoer, I seem to have always had this inexplicable knowledge of the Bible ever since I was a little kid. I don't know how, but I do. And I see these things happening, and I'm thinking, man, y'all I'd better be warning your people, man. This is what you're waiting for. I'd be telling people from the rooftops that this is one of the signs, man, of the final days, is when these things start happening, given power over the time and the ends of time and the laws. It's right there. So what's going on, Greg?
Well, I just had a question, because Will is a pastor, and he's here in Denver apparently too. So I'm over by Cherry Creek over in Aurora. But
Awesome.
as a pastor, and your focus is on shepherding your flock and seeking and saving the lost, why this effort to put together this end the flat Earth debate, basically? Why this
Yeah.
challenge?
Yeah, it's a good question. And the first thing I need to state emphatically is that this is not this has nothing to do with my church. So this isn't a church project. This isn't being funded by the church. This is just being funded by Will Duffy, who likes to have big ideas and do big things. But the reason I want to do this is because, like, I'm trying to read the comments as best I can. LJ thinks I'm reading a script, but no, I'm reading your comments. A lot of people are commenting it as if I'm the enemy. I'm definitely not the enemy here. And let me explain why. I created this experiment to figure out what the truth is, regardless of what the truth is. So to answer your question, Greg, if we do live on a globe, I'm going to be doing everyone a favor by ending the debate so that we can all focus on something else as opposed to debating this. But if there is a massive cover-up, then I'm also doing humanity a favor by exposing that cover-up, and I'm more than happy to do it. I'm more than willing to be the fall guy. So I'm playing on both sides here because I just want to know whatever the truth is.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Wow, I had something playing in the background. I couldn't figure out what it was.
Yeah, that picture you just showed was when I was in Scotland. That was also part of my research into the King James Bible, and that was, I believe, where King James was born. Is where that picture was taken.
Yeah, it was. It said for the birth apartments. That was as big as I could get it to come up on the screen.
Thank you for answering that. Well, that's all I had. Goodbye.
Okay, great. Sure.
That's where I was at with that. Yeah, that's amazing. Let's see. I put in Will Duffy King James Bible. Now I'm getting off. That's what same thing I put in before, and now I'm getting all these covers of Bibles. Anyway, I'll have to look for it later. And the damn thing never cooperates the way that I want it to. Never once. Yeah, I'm about that too. And I think a lot of people are I think they get the wrong idea about what flat Earth is, right? They think that I'm out to make people believe in the flat Earth. No, I'm not. I'm not at all. I'm out to have people question their own beliefs. If you can't question your own beliefs, then it doesn't have a foundation. That's the way I look at it. Nobody can prove a flat Earth to you. You will prove it to yourself. And this is what I try to do. This is what the unchained mind aspect of my show is all about, is because, as we say on here, free your mind and your ass will follow. And that's what we do. I work on freeing your mind, and Burn the Corporate Friction works on freeing the other half of you from the enslavement that you're under, that you willingly without knowing contracted to. And I,
Yeah.
as well as Ryan, are both fully aware that we fight not against flesh and blood, but against powers and principalities. And believe you me, sir, the devil is clearly in charge of this world. Yes, your world is spinning wildly out of control, but the earth remains stationary, level, and unmoving. That's the way I look at it right there. It's all what's in your world. This is that whole thing. And that's why I try to take people to a place of here, okay, watch out for your perception deception. What I mean by that, you are programmed at a very young age to believe information based on your perception of the person that's presenting it to you. This is why it's so easy to say, well, 4 out of 5 scientists, top scientists say, well, that's all the further I have to go. I don't have to tell you who they are. I don't have to tell you what there's nothing else about them, just the fact that they were somebody supposedly above you that knows more than you. That's all you need to do. And people will buy that and they won't question into it. We've been dumbed into this idea of smarter people have figured that out for me. No, you're smart too. Everybody is smart. You're turned stupid. That's what happens. You're born smart and you're turned stupid.
Here's the thing, man, is like, I'll be the first to tell anybody, I don't know what this realm is, or what the earth is, what it's actually, but as far as I could tell, most other people don't either. Whoever does know what it looks like, they have incentive to keep that a secret, right? So what I do know is if you keep it simple, we see too far. You can't. So even if you did see a 24-hour sundown in Antarctica, it's not going to create measurable curvature anywhere because there isn't any. There's just not. So what that will actually do is just add an interesting complexity to the already unknown and complex model. We don't have to explain what it is. We just have to prove what it's not, which we can. Because you can't make, you know what I mean? So now we're back to the drawing board. We don't have to provide, and we say flat earth, but we know obviously it's a topographical plane. We say it's stationary and motionless because it's observably and it's physically motionless. And it's a topographical plane. You can't measure curvature anywhere. And that's where you start.
Let me just say one quick thing, which is that the idea of measurable curvature and curvature are two separate things. I'm not defending curvature right now, but if something's not measurable, that doesn't mean it doesn't exist, right? Like, for example, I think my brain is curved, but I can't measure that. That doesn't mean it's not curved.
What are you talking about? Listen, so you have this ball with a circumference, right? Which is like what, 23,000 or 24,901. Anyways,
that could be wrong, by the way.
It has a set circumference, right? So it has to have
which would matter given the whole things of orbital mechanics and everything else like that. Yeah. All you have to do is be off by a couple of miles, and that changes the whole thing, everything.
It does matter, but it doesn't change the shape. My big thing is trying to end the shape of the earth debate.
To be a ball, you have to have curvature. That's the point. So we know the shape is not a ball.
But it doesn't have to be measurable.
Hold on. So you have a circumference of, I believe it's 24,901 miles.
If that is wrong, it could still be a bigger sphere or a smaller sphere. That's all I'm saying.
No, but to have no measurable curvature at that size, right? It would have to be so immense, you know what I mean? That they obviously hiding stuff. But even so,
even at twice as big, you'd get what, 4 inches per mile squared?
Right, exactly.
So you see what we got going on? That's the whole thing is we don't see any evidence of convexity, I think is a better term. We don't see any evidence of convexity. That's, I think, probably better than measurable curvature. Yeah, I think that would probably be the best aspect of it. But you have to think of it this way too. If you think that the properties of water would be to conform to the outside of the surface of something that it was on, then you would also have to entertain the idea that the surface of that same water should also mimic the topographical features beneath it. In other words, wherever there's a mountain or a rock or something in the water, there should be a measurable hump mimicking the mountain. Or where there's a trench, there should be a trench of water, right? Because it's following the curvature, it's following the contour of whatever it's on. You see, you would have to believe that that would be possible as well. And of course, it's not. The physics of water, I don't know if you've ever, I've done construction, and I remember one time we were doing an old log cabin, a big log cabin, and we had to level something across the long distance for these joists. And that was the first time I was introduced to a water level. And all it was a hose. It was a clear hose with water in it. That's all it was. And we put it up here to this line and then took it over here until that line matched up on the other wall. And it was plumb dead on level. And that was over a span of like 20 or 25 feet. Now that's hard to do with, any other, how else would you, because of the physics of water. That's I think one of the biggest things with me is just like Ryan said, the basic things, immediately people they're like, I'll say, well, why is the earth a globe? Well, look up at the sky. Wait a second. I thought we were talking about the ground that you're standing on, and now you're looking at the sky. What does the sky have to do with where you're standing? Nothing. Not a thing.
It does.
How though? If I'm trying to determine if my floor is level or bulged, am I going to look up at my ceiling or am I going to check my floor?
You're definitely going to check your floor, but I'm going to be releasing a video in the next couple of weeks as to this topic. So stay tuned for that. I think it'll be a fun one.
Are you familiar with a channel called Flatworks?
Yes.
On YouTube. Flatworks has put out a couple videos here in the last couple of days. In the last couple of weeks, really, that have really all been focused on this very topic of Antarctica. One that he just recently put out covers these, like the one about the flight and Sir Edmund, whatever his name is, that claimed to hike across Antarctica, and he shows where there was all the fraud in that, and where these people were actually called out in newspaper articles and found out that was not legitimate what was going on. And don't you think it's so funny that they never have to fake anything from the North, but they always have to do all this subversive crap in the South? That's what I say about space. If space can, if it's real, then why do you have to fake any of it? Why would you have to fake any of it? That just makes you look so bad. So, and here's the thing, right into that programming too, like in that show that it was a popular American sitcom called The Big Bang Theory. And it was basically these three nerds that lived across the hall from this hot chick. Anyway, the one guy that was a nerd, Howard, he invented something for NASA. And one of the episodes, or a few of the episodes, was that he went up to the International Space. And he's up there floating weightless, talking to his mom and girlfriend on video phone and stuff. And you see actual NASA astronauts floating by him, just like they do, interacting with him. Now, of course, people didn't believe that he was on the International Space Station. Why? Why did they not believe that he was on the International Space Station? Well, for one reason, it would be ludicrous to spend the money to send an actor up to space to do a couple of episodes. And two, there was a laugh track. But let's just suppose that they ran the story out into the media and said, actor that plays Howard will be going to the ISS for filming of the Big Bang Theory episodes, right? And then they show that. Would people believe it then? Absolutely, 100%. Take away the laugh track and they're down for it 100%. And it's all just based on perception.
I would say this, if that actor was, floating in zero gravity for extended periods of time, if he did interviews saying that he went to the ISS, I think those are good reasons to believe him. It doesn't mean it's true, but those would be good reasons to believe it.
But you understand, we actually saw him on the ISS with NASA astronauts floating weightlessly, just like we see from NASA. The only thing different was that there was a laugh track. That was the only difference between that, because you can just splice those scenes in with other scenes from NASA on the ISS, and you'll have to look real hard to pick them out, which one's which. So my thing is this: if space can be faked, how do you know that it's not? Especially when they've gotten caught doing it before.
Yeah, this is exactly why I created the final experiment.
Yeah, see, there's a lot of stuff like that that I look at and I go, wait a second. And I think that my biggest red flag is, of course, the blowback that comes with it. The absolute blowback is just off the chain.
Yeah. Well, I do appreciate you inviting me to come on tonight, and I'm hopefully you guys are excited as I am to see what we find in Antarctica this December.
Oh yeah, and that seems like a long way off, but it's not. It's only 6 months, and I am amazed at how fast time goes by. It's just blowing my mind anymore. It seems like, and I know, of course, time seems like it goes faster when you get older, but this is different. This isn't that. I've noticed that happening, but this is almost like, have you felt like time is going faster? I certainly have.
As I get older, time feels like it's going faster, for sure.
Well, it won't be any time, and we'll find out what happens. I myself, I have a prediction, and my prediction is this: as that something is going to happen to cancel it. Oh, and I had one more thing. I mean, that's just my prediction. If it doesn't, thank God. Let's see what happens. And if we do, let's track that. Let's track that, whether it's west or northwest or west by southwest. So that's the thing we want to look for. And I understand you're not going, or are you going?
As of right now, if I end up paying for Jaron and Austin, it's going to be difficult, if not impossible, for me to go. But everything's up in the air right now. So maybe
Sure.
Jaron and Austin will turn down the trip. We'll see.
Or we could crowdfund to get you on to go. I mean, we need the referee. We need the referee. You can't expect those guys to go down there and somebody not come back with a black eye. I'm serious. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I'm going to do everything in my power to be there for sure.
Well, did you have anything else to ask, Ryan?
No, it's I'm of the same opinion. I think that it's probably not going to happen, or something. There's just something's not right about it. And no offense to you, Will, but it just doesn't. It still just doesn't sit right with me. There's something to it. There's got to be something behind it. Like the intelligent. I mean, who knows? I'm not going to make any kind of statements, but I wouldn't trust it. Again,
I'm going to give you guys a big check mark if something happens, because this trip happens every single year without an issue. So,
right. Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm not really so much interested. I noticed that this thing was set up like the scorecard, like there's a competition or something, and that's good marketing. That's a good way to get the shit out there and get people involved with that. I understand how that goes. So yeah, there's an air of that. I think one of the things I found suspicious was the fact that so many of what I call the cast of usual suspects so readily agreed so quickly. And I was like, yeah, while everybody said, oh, look, flat earthers are afraid. No, we're analyzing this. Because like I said, as soon as people found out that Toon was involved, red flags went up, complete with trumpet fanfare. And everybody immediately started looking for, okay, what's the hitch?
Right.
And this is only based on the level of intellectual dishonesty that has been displayed by this man on numerous occasions. So yeah, that kind of did get me out. So yeah, I would suggest maybe set something up so that we could crowdfund and you go.
Cool.
too? Because is this true that Austin said he won't go if you don't go? Is that do you know anything about that? Or
That is what I've heard as well. So yeah, we're still in communications. I'll keep everybody updated on our channel.
He might be worried about a JP Morgan type of situation. You know what I mean?
And let me go get that real quick and put that link in there for everybody. The final experiment, everyone. Pastor Will Duffy, in the final experiment, he uploads videos regularly, keeping you updated on things. I wish I had time to always look at everybody's stuff. I go and look, I'm looking at stuff and I'm going, okay, I got to do, oh crap. I'll catch Duffy's thing in the Jeep while I'm going, I'm listening to it there. And so it's really hard to keep track, but yeah, definitely. Did I put it in there yet? Nope. I've just been running my face again. So let me copy that and put it in to the chat. So everybody, you can go over there, keep yourself up, subscribe to the channel, definitely hit the bell notification and be updated on what's going on regarding the final experiment, observational experiment. And I guess that's all I have for you tonight, Will.
Awesome.
So unless you want to add anything.
No, I really appreciate it. Thank you guys. And we'll keep everybody updated. And I'm excited. So
yeah, it was good to meet you.
All right. Take care.
Well,
Bye-bye.
Looking forward to see what goes on. Thanks for coming on tonight, Will. It's been a pleasure.
Bye-bye.
All right. Well, there he is. I don't know. What do you think?
I pretty much said what I that's what I think. I think there's something sketchy about it. I can't see shelling out that much money to, and still be a globe guy.
Right.
It doesn't make any sense to me. For somebody, because they think it's ridiculous, right? It's like when you look at the evidence and you can't get past the fundamentals, and then we just look at the amount of effort that's been put into suppressing this and hiding it, the amount of deception in the level, like with NASA. I mean, that's huge. And something like this that's gotten this amount of notoriety, there's no way that they're not some intelligence agency or something is involved, or private, probably some like Blackwater type of corporation or something. I bet you Austin don't want to go because he's worried about a JP Morgan situation.
Do you know, it's what I was thinking when I saw that comment. I was like, yeah, like something happened, like, oh, there's only room for 2 on this plane. So you and Jaron get on this, we'll take the next one. One of them type of things, I'm like, no, that's no good.
I mean, if you think about it, risk versus reward for them, yeah, like everybody in the community would know it was fishy right away.
Well, didn't they kind of swan dive Bird after his interview on that television program?
Yeah. Well, here's the thing though, is like everybody will know something's fishy with it, but that's a huge blow to the community, because both Witsit and Jaron have a huge, influence in the community. Like Witsit's brilliant debate, at debating, and Jaron's got a huge platform. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if they got rid of them guys, that would be it might be worth it to them. Who knows? I don't know. But the implication there would be that Will Duffy is kind of sketchy, and I don't want to insult the man. So I don't know what it could be. Most likely it's not going to happen,
So this latest video that's out by, how you doing, Larry? Good to see you.
Hello. Hi, everybody. Sorry I missed Will Duffy.
Oh, so this video that Flatworks put out called "The Final Experiment: Scam ? Or Disclosure of Flat Earth."
Hey, real quick,
whistleblower testimonies, and he goes into there was going to be some flight, and these people. This was a few years ago here on the internet, and one of these challenges like that, and there was a guy. I forget what his name was. Something Sapien. He paid a bunch of money for this ticket, right? And then didn't get to go. And it was busted out as a scam, and he never got a refund on his money or anything either. It was supposed to be a flight across Antarctica. I'm like, well, you know, so like, let's try this again, right? Come on. I don't know. But I'm saying, look, you don't even have to do that. You could actually, as long as you're south of the Tropic of Capricorn, all you have to do is track the sun. If it goes in a west by northwest direction, you are not on a ball. If it goes in a west by southwest direction, then you are. It's that simple.
Hey, well, look, I'm gonna actually hit the hay because I got to work tomorrow morning. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate
Well,
it.
thanks for coming on.
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks everybody for stopping in. Don't forget to hit the like, subscribe. You guys have an awesome night.
All right. Have a good one. Thanks for coming on, Ryan. And go kiss that little granddaughter of mine for me. All right. So anyway, I'm going to put the link to that video here in the description. And I don't know. What do you think there, Larry? Is this going to be a, is it
I
going to
think
happen?
it's
What's going to come about?
fascinating. I really don't know. I I really want to know if this pastor guy is legitimate. Like, it's possible he could just have a bunch of money, but he seems like he just randomly. It just seems so fishy. There's not a bone in my body that really believes in space or heliocentrism.
Mhm.
So just makes me wonder like how they're gonna fake it or cancel it
Yeah,
or
because
what.
I mean, I'm pretty well resigned to the idea that they are not going to see the sun arc that direction. And if there's something, they're not going to let you see that. That's all there is. If it indicates that the Earth is not a globe, they are not going to let you see it. That's just going to be the
Or
crust right there.
like, but they sorry, I'm kind of getting tongue tied here. Like, you're talking about a hypothetical 24-hour sun,
That's what they claim is in Antarctica
right?
during the winter months, our winter months, when it's in December, of course, when the sun is at its highest zenith over the Tropic of Cancer or Capricorn. So
Yeah,
that's the furthest the zenith of the sun ever goes. So this means that any place south of the Tropic of Capricorn, you have to look north in a northerly direction to see the sun.
yeah,
Okay. So now, if you're looking north and you see the sun and it's at its zenith, this means that it's coming from the east, which should be your right.
okay,
Okay. And as it goes past its zenith at noon and traverses the sky west, which will be to your left, if the sun starts to track west by northwest, you're not on a globe. If it starts to track west by southwest, then you are.
right. And it makes me wonder if this is somehow legit, then this is just one of those things that kind of slip through the deceivers. I guess it's something that people won't care about, right? Wasn't that one famous southern flight that it has all the weird times and stuff where some guy went on there and was like tracking the direction with a compass and it didn't
Oh yeah,
match.
yeah, Max Egan, where
Yeah,
the compass was not matching what his display was
yeah.
indicating. Yeah,
Where
yeah,
people are so brainwashed that they might go there and not see the 24-hour sun and no one will give a shit if it was like refraction, whatever. We still gotta go to
right,
work
right,
every
right.
day. Like it might all be legitimate and then no one cares. I don't know. It's
Yeah,
definitely
yeah, yeah.
scary.
Let's see.
Um,
You would think if everyone is confident, it won't be what the Glovers say. They would be jumping to go. Listen, yes, it would be. However, using discernment, Zerzus, and knowing that the usual cast of suspects that are involved, especially initially, one cannot help but wonder, okay, what's the trick? Right? What's the trick?
oh hey,
I mean,
I'm
you
really
guys
sorry.
act like we don't know how McToon operates. You all act like we
Yo,
don't
sorry to
know
leave
how
abruptly.
Dave
Gotta go.
McKeegan operates. We all know how these characters operate, man. So this isn't any kind of a big ass surprise. When we see that involvement, then we're going to look. No, you don't just jump in. Of course not. Step into my parlor, said the spider to the fly. What do you think? See, that's why you'd be easy to trick. That's why you're easy to trick, Zerzus, because you don't have a discerning mind. You lack discernment. And that's a problem when somebody lacks discernment. If you don't have discernment, then you're not operating from a good place. Not at all. And you're going to get fucked every time you turn around, man. All right. Well, you guys want me to go over part of the video that Flatworks put out on what his idea of the final experiment is? Or would y'all just rather go ahead and check that out yourself? It's up to you guys. It's up to you guys. We got a little bit of time here to kill. Let's see. Yeah. People on the comments on that video itself. Let me just pull that up so we can look at some of the comments. Anyway, these are usually good to look at. I don't know if y'all can see these or not. Let me see if I can blow them up. Let me try to blow them up a little bit. There we go. So here somebody said heresy seed. I think we've seen heresy seed in here. Says I can't see TPDTB. I don't know who that is. Allowing a few seekers to ruin the deception they've spent so long propping up and cashing in on. Good point. Good point. Very good point. This video is directly related to yesterday's Sunday Globebusters show. It would have been great to see this first. Yeah, absolutely. Maybe we'll cover into that. We'll do that, and we'll stop and talk about some of this stuff as we go along. That's a damn good idea. I'm glad you guys thought of it. See, that's why I have you all around here. What degree of angle or tilt would the globe have to be for a 24-hour sun in Antarctica? Well, why is Pastor Duffy able to get the rules bent with just a phone call? That is beyond interesting. That is interesting. So where's all this money coming from? Well, we ask about that. He's got plausible. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt with that. I am going to just observe. That's what I do. I'm just going to observe because that's how I am. What rules? These are tourist destinations. Anyone can afford it, can go. What rules? Well, rules like quiet time. Rules like piss in a can, shit in a bucket. Rules like, rules. Stupid. He's trying to advance the conversation and help people come together to determine things. Yeah, I think I can see that. I can see that. They have a quiet time like 7 hours where nobody is allowed out of the tents. I've heard that many times, but he said that he's worked it out with them where they can be out of their tent. And I think that relates back to that other question as to how do they get to do that, right? And somebody here says Will has that covered. I know exactly how high the sun will be from its low to its high point on those dates, and that will not set. Okay. He knows this. Wonderful. Well, let's go ahead and see what his video's got, because I watched it earlier and it's pretty damn good. It's pretty damn good. So let me get that. And after I get it started, I'm sure Flatworks doesn't mind me playing his video. I did promote these. I have been promoting these in my community post. I'd really like everybody to go over there and subscribe and hit the bell notification. He's got 657 subscribers. He deserves more than I even have. So please, people, go over there and subscribe to Flatworks. Definitely doing some hella good work. What happened there? I want that. Why is that making it like that? That's just gay. I don't like that. Theater mode? No, I don't want theater mode. Go back. Go back to what I had. Put it to there. You know? Okay, I guess we got to watch it this way. I don't understand why they're doing it like that. Let's stop that. Whoa. God, go away. Hang on a second. I'm so sorry. I don't understand why this thing's wanting to be like this. All right, there we go. Anyway, here we go. This is from Flatworks. Here we go.
Hey everyone, just want to give you guys an update on some very interesting information I've come across recently in regards to this final experiment. Among one of these things I came across was 3 different whistleblowers, if you will, if that's what you want to call them, that were stationed in Antarctica for many months during the summer. That had all stated that there is no 24-hour sun in Antarctica and that the sun sets every day in the summer while they were in Antarctica. So we got 3 different people that have come out and stated this, and we'll get to that later. But we're also going to go over some of the previous fraud and scams, in regards to different trips that were planned by global propagandists to fly over Antarctica and try to prove the globe, and they end up basically just blowing up in their face, and nothing ever really came of them, and they never really gave an explanation for why they were canceled. And
look at all those freaking tents, man. Yeah, where's Queen Bee? Where's she at? I didn't see her in here. Sneaking around. Yeah, I got it.
Basically just disappeared without any answers. So we're going to go over that too. But for those of you that aren't familiar with the final experiment, it is taking place at the Union Glacier Camp in Antarctica, and they are flying a couple of flat earthers and a couple of globers down there to witness the alleged 24-hour sun phenomenon. I believe this is supposed to take place in December. So they haven't completely decided on who is going to be going there yet, but we're still kind of in the works with the planning on that. But if you guys haven't seen it already, there's already been fakery in Antarctica that we've discovered over the years, and we're going to go ahead and kind of cover some of that here in a minute. Some of the fakery that we've come across over the last 7 or 8 years is these faked 24-hour sun videos. We've discovered that there's many editing artifacts that prove without a shadow of doubt that these 24-hour sun videos are objectively edited and cropped and synced and faked. Now, what I find interesting about a lot of these 24-hour sun videos is the timing of them. None of these 24-hour sun videos even existed before 2015, 2016. And all of a sudden, when Flat Earth kind of came into the mainstream and became more controversial, that's when all of these 24-hour sun videos just started randomly popping up, and they were all proven faked. And it's like, why would you have, not just one, but 3 or 4 different fake 24-hour sun videos? Like, if this 24-hour sun in Antarctica actually existed, there would be hundreds, if not thousands of videos of it, and there's none. But yet up north, there's hundreds of videos of it that are unedited up at the North Pole and the Arctic. So you kind of have to ask yourself about the timing of these videos and when they came out, and why is there not just one but several faked videos of this down south?
And that goes just back to what I was saying, even with the damn NASA stuff. If you're really going there and you're really doing all this shit, why is any of it fake? You shouldn't have to fake anything, right? but they do. And that's suspect. Just like with this. Nobody bothering about, oh, there's 24-hour sun, you know, like that. Nobody give a shit, nothing about it until people started waking up to the true cosmology. And then it's like, oh my God, damage control. Let's put out some videos. We got to show people you live on a ball. Don't forget, you live on a ball.
But it's not even just the 24-hour sun videos. It's also the South Pole webcam. They literally cut and edit the webcam footage. They cut 10 hours out of it every day. So the shadows will go halfway around these flags and it'll stop. You know, it'll go 8, 9, 10, 11, and then 20. 8, 9, 10, 11, and 22. So they're cutting 10, 11 hours out of these webcams every day. And it's every day of every month of the entire year they're doing that. So you have
See, I can't go nowhere without running into a damn Jaronism logo someplace. Old bastards everywhere. I'm just kidding. Love you, Jaron. I'm seeing your stuff all over the place, man. Keep rocking, brother. Keep rocking.
to ask yourself, you know, why? And even the reason they give doesn't make any sense because that would also have to apply up north. They'd have the same issue with, you know, the webcams up north, but they actually can track it every day up north and they don't have to edit the videos. So it just makes no sense with all of this fakery and fraud. But it doesn't even end there. We're also going to find out that they're faking flights over Antarctica.
Back in 2018, there was a website called www.overthepoles2018.com.
Now, pay attention to that date, 2018. What was going on about flat Earth in 2018? It was fucking blowing up. This was right just prior to the censorship. So this was an effort at damage control.
I had to use the Wayback Machine to bring up the old website. Essentially, there was supposed to be a flight called the Polar Explorer that was going to circumnavigate the entire alleged globe Earth over both the North and South poles. A genuine flight like that would be dispositive, as it was supposed to fly straight over the alleged geographic South Pole without turning around. Maybe you weren't around at that time, but all globe propagandists were very excited about this flight because this was going to end the flat Earth. In fact, there was one globe propagandist named Greater Sapien who purchased a ticket on the Polar Explorer. He seemingly used crowdfunding to raise the funds to purchase the ticket. This was certainly an exciting time for the globe propagandists. But there was one lowly, crazy flat earther, and maybe there were others, who didn't believe the claims of the Over the Poles website or the globe propagandists and called the Polar Explorer flight a scam. I actually forgot I made a video about it until I watched reruns of Globebusters the other day, and Bob actually reviewed my old video, which was lost with one of my prior YouTube channel terminations. For whatever reason, I find the Polar Explorer situation highly relevant today. Can you guess who was right? I mean, certainly a lowly flat earther wasn't right over all of those globe propagandists. Was the Polar Explorer a scam? Well, it turns out the flight was a scam, and everyone who purchased a ticket lost their money, including Greater Sapiens contributors. Are we witnessing a Greater Sapien 2.0? You be the judge. Enjoy.
So, yeah, that's what I'm saying. You know, they never got to do it. They paid the money and they never got to do it. Okay, so we know that's a possibility. It's listed clear in their things. Now, I'm hoping for the best. I really am. I'm hoping for the best. But I'm saying, see, this is the thing. We have analytical minds. Okay, we have analytical minds. And so when it comes to something like this, we automatically start analyzing it. Okay, we don't just jump on board, you know, come on, Charlie Brown, kick the football. Wait a minute. I've seen this story before. What's going on? Right? And so, of course, that's where we're at with this.
Well, you know, and a couple people did videos on this. Celebrate Truth did one, and so did Taboo Conspiracy. And Taboo Conspiracy went on to elaborate even more how this thing was doomed from the get-go and that it appears to be a scam. And that is that what he found is, according to the federal air regulations that are in effect for Antarctica, apparently there are limits to which that particular model of aircraft can go from any major airport. And I think it's something like 15 or 1600 miles, something like that. And which means that there's no way that they can get anywhere near the South Pole, or the Edmondson Scott Station. So all of this has been, and of course the FAA could waive those regulations, but I seriously doubt that they are, because we know that they're not going to go down there. But in case you guys have not heard about this, what everybody is talking about is this flight around the globe, the Polar Explorer flight. And it's at this website, overthepoles2018.com. And you can go there and look at it. And what we're looking at specifically here is the code of conduct that shows up down here. And it says Polar Explorer, excuse me, is a celebration of commercial aviation and a homage to the achievements of Pan American Airways. The spirit of this flight is one of adventure, friendship, and shared goal of establishing a new aviation speed record. Yeah, right. Although the flight is open to all who wish to join in, it has come to our attention that some have expressed interest in using this flight to attempt to disprove or discredit scientific fact. You got that right, Slim.
Scientific fact. See, they gotta put it in there. Fact. It's a law of gravity. The law of gravity. I'm like, how can you have a law based on something that you've never proven exists? That's fucking stupid, man.
As the safety and the comfort of all passengers is our primary concern, we will not permit any scientific or experimental equipment of any kind on board the aircraft. Well, what about Greater Sapien, right? Greater Sapien basically crowdfunded from all of his viewers. And by the way, this has been known for quite some time, because, like I said, I mentioned this well over a month ago on Globebusters when I first found out about it. And apparently, it's been in this, on the web page itself. So either Greater Sapien read this and is aware of it and is going to claim that, he went around the world anyway, or he didn't do his research, which of course is also pretty normal, I think, for him, and is going to go take this flight, with $20,000 of his subscribers' hard-earned money, and he's going to come back with no proof whatsoever other than what they tell him, and at that I'm just going to have to laugh. So you got to wonder, what is he going to do, when he gets back from this trip? It's interesting because when you go further into the fine print, as Taboo Conspiracy does, he finds out that they can change the route at any time. They say, well, if we don't make it, we'll give you back your money unless we can come up with an alternate route. Now, they're not saying alternate route to what, they're just saying alternate route. So basically what they're going to do is they're going to say, oh, well, safety conditions prohibit us from doing this or whatever, or this country won't allow us to do it. So we're just going to go almost to the South Pole, but not really, and we're going to skirt it. This would be my guess as to what they're going to do, because it's all set up in the fine print, essentially, which is pretty amazing. So you have that. You have the fact that the applicable flight regulations do not even allow that particular type of aircraft to be even any further away than, like, I believe 1,800 miles. I can hardly wait to see exactly how Greater Sapien is going to handle this. Is he going to punt his ticket and refund his money, or is he going to just go ahead and take this ride on everybody else's nickel, and where ultimately all he's going to be able to do is take their word for where they're telling them they are, right?
Oh, geez. See, that's the whole thing. No, you can't take that compass on there neither, because it'll mess up with the refractive gravitational instrumentation of the aircraft. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Jesus, criminally.
So
Oh yeah, and God is Nowhere. What a stupid fucking name. Click the link and come on up. You seem to have a lot to say. So hey, I don't know if y'all remember. You remember Mr. B? Dumb Mr. B? I was watching a thing from Here's the Deal. And then I guess Flat Derp made a cartoon from part of Brian Young's Here's the Deal show, and he had people calling in. And one of the dudes that called in, he didn't go by Mr. B, but it was the same dude, man. And it was the same bullshit that he always says. And basically what it was over, Chili DeCastro being in jail. This guy, you know, he broke the law. And Brian's like, well, what law did he break? Oh, I don't know, but he must have, because that's why he's in jail. You know, like, okay, buddy. But yeah, old dumb Mr. B, he was over on there. He's hit the big time. Don't forget where you started, Mr. B. We gave you a platform first for your ignoramus bullshit.
It just absolutely floors me that these, you know, that this is even happening like this. So it's going to be a fraud.
Yeah.
And what about all these, you know, propagandists kept saying they're going to fly an airplane across Antarctica? What happened to that guy? You know, we always get these. And remember that one guy that stole all that guy, everybody's money with that Antarctic flight?
Yeah, man.
It got canceled as well. I mean, and of course the propagandists don't come out and go, well, that's really strange that they would do that. They don't ever question it. It's like,
they won't.
That's perfectly normal.
They won't question it.
I remember, that guy, I forgot his name, Sapien, something Sapien.
Yeah.
What's his name? Sapien.
Yeah,
something
you're
Sapien.
Yeah, Greater Sapien he took it up the ass from a Sun Antarctic scam, you know? So yeah, bummer.
Yeah, man. $19,000, man. He paid for that. And, you know.
And they'll keep doing it. They'll keep having little things. Oh, I'll show all these flat earth.
Hold the phone. Do you somehow think that it's my privilege to have you up here on panel or something? I've given you an invitation. I don't give a shit what your name is. I'm doing you a favor. You've got a lot to say. I'm giving you a platform to say it on. So you got this backwards, bud.
They're going to fly across and they'll never have another video about it saying, hell, you know, for some strange reason, the FAA wouldn't allow us to do that. It must be too cold, right?
Too cold, man.
So, the other guy we got to talk about is Kelsey, because Kelsey finally returned one of my, it took me forever to even reach him.
And who is Kelsey?
Yeah, I'm bringing up his little video here. So
if you choose my airline
So this guy, he'd come out and he was saying, yeah, I'll fly you across Antarctica, no problem. And I remember when this guy was out, man. And then somebody called him on his fucking bluff, and it was all bullshit. Again, this is what always happens. It turns out to be bullshit every time.
Stop talking. All right. So we'll bring that up real quick. So Kelsey is that pilot from I don't know what airlines or whatever, but he made this video saying that he's got a way to prove that the Earth is round, and he's going to take this flight. And so a bunch of us reached out and said, let's do it. Let's go. I'm ready. Let's book it. Let's get the price so that I can do a GoFundMe and we can sell tickets. Maybe it's like, if you donate whatever you want, but if you donate over 2,500, you get a ticket on the flight. Donate over 4,000, you can have 2 tickets, that kind of thing. Because I'm guessing the flight would be $500,000. That's just a guess. I don't know. But
that's where I'm at with this thing. It's kind of like, wait a second, they haven't been done it yet, right? Why not? Right? Just now, all of a sudden, we're going to do this, and it's happening, and all this other, and every other time, it's been this. So, what does my spidey senses tell me? Right? Come on, y'all.
We would get there eventually, I think. So he says things like this in his video.
Charter the 747 from. I will volunteer to.
So he says, if we
anywhere you want to go.
Wait, let's do that one more time. Anywhere you want to go. Listen
carefully. Make some profit on it. It doesn't really matter to me, but you can charter this aircraft and go anywhere you want to go. If you choose my
So
airline
full
to
of
charter the
shit.
747
So he
from,
says, if you
I
choose
will
my airline to charter the 747 from,
volunteer to fly that aircraft, and we can all be Christopher Columbus for a few days. I've even come up with a basic flight plan of where to go so you can prove or disprove.
okay, so we contacted him. We said, we want to change the destination because number one, you said we can go anywhere we want to go, number one. So that means we can change the destination to wherever we want. So looking at what Banjo was talking about, I totally agreed. And I think we should also end up where we started, not fly out of Miami, come back to LA. So I told him, hey, I kept reaching out to him saying, give me a price for a flight, LA to Buenos Aires to Perth, Perth back to LA, a night at each location. And he kept not getting back to me, Finally, he got back to me, and his answer is like, oh, dude, I'm just a pilot and a YouTube guy. I'm not a booking agent. And I said, I'm not asking you to be a booking agent, dude. You said that your airline, if we chose your airline, you would be the pilot. Okay, number one, we accept. We'll choose your airline. Number two, you can be pilot. We accept. All right, so far we're doing really good, right? So the next step would be talk to your airline and get me a damn price, dude. He's like, well,
I want y'all to pay attention to all of the new people. Okay. Like I got Jace Ventura 2. Flat tartary has ruined whatever was left of any truth movement. What you're seeing is a mirage. No, actually what you're seeing is Globe Apologeticus fucking overload. That's what you're seeing right there, right? It really is. And I think it's funny. It's also, it reminds me of, in The Exorcist when he was throwing holy water on that girl and he's going, the power of Christ compels you. And she's just flipping shit. That's what Globetardia is doing these days. 100%. 100%.
you can just call different companies and figure out where you can go. No. We're choosing you. You said that you'll be pilot. And I'm like, now I think you realize that you've never flown over the Antarctica for a reason, because you can't.
Jared,
So, go ahead.
this is what he's saying, that we can do this flight right here.
Yes.
Right?
Well, let me bring that up. Hold on, because I've got this screen up. Yes. Don't screw up. There you go. Yeah, that's what he says.
There.
Yeah. So,
and
so let's do it. We want to do it because that flight is about 7,500 miles or so. Should take about 14 hours or less. I mean, really, planes go, 550, 600 miles per hour. So it can even be quicker than that. And again, now he's like saying, oh, but no, you just need to go get some pricing and you need to, it's like, no, you said you'd be pilot and you said if we chose your company, but he won't even tell us who his company is. So this is the kind of thing, this is why I said, hold these people's feet to the fire. Don't let them get away with this nonsense because.
Yeah, but it's almost not worth it, Jared, because it takes all your loose or your good vibrational energy away.
Oh, I feel better. I have more vibrational energy.
I'm saying, really? Because I'm fighting with the owner of the Kansas City Chiefs.
Well, that's a different story. That's a little different.
I know, but I'm fighting with this other representative of the Chiefs right now. I'm like, why am I even arguing with these people? Why am I giving them?
What do you got there, Dave?
It's like
this is the action.
Jace Ventura, come on up. Click that link. Come on up here and give me your definitive proof of a globe Earth. Okay? Your definitive, scientific, irrefutable proof of a globe. Okay? That's all you got to do. Because after all, it is so irrelevant, right? So just come on up, dispel any misconceptions, and give us just one verifiable, scientifically approved, demonstrable proof of a freaking globe Earth. That's all you have to do. And you know what? Everybody that's come here knows that that's all they have to do. That's it. So come on up and just shut it all down once and for all. Okay? Go ahead. We're waiting.
2 flight paths that they go. They go from, those are the stops, multiple stops.
Right.
And that's the way the flight goes, depending on the trade winds.
And there's no nonstop flights from Buenos Aires to no. Go ahead and look. You'll be looking for a long, long time. But he says we can just book this 747 and go anywhere we want to go. But of course, now that we go to him and say, all right, we're in, Mark Sargent's in, we're going to promote it. Here's the locations we want to do. Now all of a sudden he's got an issue. Now he doesn't want to talk.
Yeah, how stupid it is. It goes from Buenos Aires to Houston to Los Angeles. Sometimes it goes to Miami and then Los Angeles. So that's 2 stops. Sydney and then Perth.
Right.
And maybe they go back this way to Singapore.
I don't know, but that's a long ass trip too. That's like 2 days, you know. But he also puts a white outline on him. So it's good that we held him to fire. I'm still, let me see if he answered. I don't think he answered me, but we were going back and forth on the Instagram, which I never even use, but trying to see. I don't know how you look up comments. He was commenting. Now I don't see anything.
As we can see, this is not the first time that there has been a crowd-funded event set up by global propagandists.
And that's what I was trying to say. This isn't the first time. Okay. This has been done a couple of times. We see what the results of that were. So I go by patterns. This is why I think I can confidently say something is going to happen to disrupt or stop this from taking place.
An effort to prove their globe. And as we can see, both of these faked flights fell flat and did not do what they were set out to do. And the reason for that is because you simply cannot fly over Antarctica. And if you haven't seen it already, I did a very extensive debunk video on all north to south flight circumnavigations. And they were all debunked. They were all faked. They never actually fly over Antarctica. But now back to the topic at hand with
there's them little ruthless bastards that are running everything. Goddamn penguins, man. You see how they are? They're ruthless. They have no ruth, I'm telling you.
24-hour sun. To make it very clear, neither the globe side or the flat side are debating on whether or not there's going to be 24 hours of daylight and civil twilight in Antarctica. Both sides agree that that is something we will observe. However, one side, the globe side, has a claim that we will see the sun circling above the horizon for a full 24 hours, whereas the flat Earth side is making a claim that we will not see the sun above the horizon for 24 hours, and we should actually see the sun setting and actually see the sun rising at some point throughout the day. So that is the what we were going down there to try to observe, is whether or not we see the same 24-hour sun phenomenon that is observed up at the North Pole and the Arctic, and to see if we observe that in the Antarctic. Now, with that being said, we should be able to just take somebody's word for it that's been down there during the summer. Now, recently, we have had 3 different people that have been stationed in Antarctica during the summer for many months at a time, who have all said that there is no 24-hour sun in Antarctica, and that the sun actually sets every day during the summer.
See, that's I watched a guy on Nathan Oakley on a video here just recently too, that spent 18 months and said there's no 24-hour sun. And like I said, it's easy. It's real easy. All you have to do is look and see which way the sun tracks. If it tracks, like I said, in an east by northeasterly direction, then you are not on a globe. If it tracks...
Good evening, Dave.
How you doing,
Sorry.
Roger?
I'm beautiful,
but
man.
yeah, if it goes east by southeast, then of course you have to be on a ball. But if you see it start to even track that direction, then game over. So what's going on, Roger?
Duffy. I didn't want to scare Duffy off earlier. You had him in the corner. Like, yeah, I think he's full of it, dude. He's just doing this for the publicity and the money. That's what I'm saying.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well,
it's going to promote his book stuff.
Yeah. I mean, well, it is one that has been of contention with flat earthers and globers, and I can understand that, and I can see that all you'd have to do, like I mentioned before, was to see which way the sun tracks.
Yeah,
that's
I'm just
simple.
I'm thinking of the aftermath. When he gets done doing all this, he'll have something like put into a new book, his escapades in Antarctica and how he disproved the flat Earth. You know, I can see
I
that
don't.
caption now.
That's well, based on what I've seen about these other experiments that they or observations people have tried to do, the flight down there, all these other ones. I'm kind of the notion that, and I'm hoping it won't that it won't take place, but I think that a cancellation is going to take place. Something, because listen, they've spent a lot of time, effort, and money into this lie. They have spent a lot of time, effort, and money into this, and up to and including these little snipes that we see coming in, these flat Earth haters that have these channels. The little trolls that we deal with on Facebook and on Twitter,
YouTube.
Yeah, everywhere. And listen, that's about it. Right now, it's almost coming down to where what I've called it. It's just nothing more than a mop-up operation.
Absolutely.
You know,
yeah. Who's the guy in chat right now who wants to come in and tell us about the globe?
Oh, I don't know. He ain't gonna come up here. None of them ever will. None of them ever will. And if they come on camera, it'll expose the troll farm they're sitting at.
Mr. Veritas didn't do it. He wouldn't come in. Veritas wouldn't come in the other night.
Well,
he was
no.
just calling you a hypocrite and a liar. That's
Yeah.
all he could do.
Well, you can go ahead and snipe in the chat. I don't care. The fact that you've been invited to come on and you don't just goes ahead and says a whole lot for your own character.
Yeah. And that's what we're looking at now, just their character. And their character is shown that they're nothing but two-faced. They're as bad as lawyers almost, except for Ben. Ben's a good lawyer. He's on our side.
I've been studying these guys, though. I've been studying these guys, like in Facebook groups and shit like that. I've been studying how they operate. Okay. And I've got their tactics down. I know their tactics. Okay. They will try to walk you into making a claim and then arguing about it. I don't do that.
No. You got to prove your claim to me. I don't even do that. I don't even do that. Okay. So what I do is I pin them into a line of questioning. And then I refuse to take the conversation any further forward until they satisfy the requirements of the question asked. Either concede that you're wrong or demonstrate the impossible condition that you are postulating. Is that something
come back but listen, the next thing they do is they come back and they'll go, well, why do you think blah, 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 blah? No, that's not a demonstration of what I asked for. Please try again.
Nor is that a rebuttal to that neither. It's just
right. That's all I do. I just tell them, no, that's not what I was looking for. Try again. I will not let them gish gallop to a different subject until we have satisfied the requirements of the subject that we're on right now.
And that would be your first proofs that you come up with for your claims. Yeah.
Well, it's like this one guy I was talking to on here. I says, okay, well, it was a post that I put up that said that you can't have a gas pressure without containment. Boom. Pretty simple, right?
Yeah.
So this guy said, well, gravity. I said, okay, all you have to do is demonstrate a volume of gas without a physical container or a downward acceleration of the gas due to gravity.
And they can't do that, dude.
They can't do it. So they'll jump to something else, but the gradient. And I'm like, well, I'm sorry. The antecedent of gradient is pressure. And the antecedent of gas pressure is, of course, containment. So you're putting the horse before the buggy. Please answer or please demonstrate the impossible condition you postulate or concede that you are wrong. And I won't go any farther. So they end up having to just go the fuck away because I won't give in to their tactics. It's real easy. Once you understand how they operate and what they're trying to do, you can just stomp all over these guys, man.
Yeah. I like your son, man. I like Black's Law Dictionary. I love the tactics it uses. It gets around all the Fed bull crap.
Yeah.
I'm all for it, man. 100%. Right there with you. Yeah.
Well, people got to get to understand, man, that you're under so many different types of illusions that nothing is as you think it is. The world that they've created for you to have in your mind is not what is reality. And that's what's so overwhelmingly powerful when you realize that and discover that.
Yeah. The straw man they built for you in the legal fiction is easy to burn, dude. That's what they want to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's just like in these debates. It's the same thing. They're using the same tactics.
So I just wonder if there comes these points where men wake up and start getting beyond the illusion and to the point where, okay, fuck this, they reset us again.
Yeah. Well, they'll label you hard if you do. And anybody I've known that stood up in court for these things, they usually defame you as fast as they can. They try to hard. Yeah.
Wow.
It doesn't lean to them, man. If they're not going to be able to fleece you of everything you have at the drop of a hat, it doesn't set well with the legal system.
Yeah, it's like that clip from court that I showed last night, man. That guy, he totally walked out of there like a boss too.
Yeah.
They didn't get a fucking dime. They got to eat they had to eat that bond. They had to eat that bond.
When I sign a ticket, I sign under duress right away. That's the first thing I was taught to do when I was younger.
I would put all rights reserved and then understand what that means, and you'll be 100 times further ahead.
Yeah. I had a West Point lawyer school me when I was a teenager. He told me, hey, sign it in Latin, dude. CF, put a little circle around it, your signature, because when you go to court, they're going to hold the law over your head like a bucket and dump it on you. You got to know your rights, dude.
Yep. Well, you got to understand the jurisdiction too. And first and foremost, you have to understand the jurisdiction.
Yeah, I had a feeling
nail them down on that. Nail them down on that.
Burning legal fiction. When I saw your son's name, I was like, yeah, he's got it. He's got it in his, he knows the deal. Yeah.
He knows what's going on. Let's see. I got about 14 minutes left in this video. This is good. And Flatworks has been putting out a lot of good stuff regarding Antarctica recently. Go over to the channel, subscribe. Definitely some good stuff. This is one of them. So
we have one person, a plumber that was working down there, stationed in Antarctica for 18 months, that said the sun sets during the summer, and there is no 24-hour sun there, so that the sun sets every day. And then we also had a former NASA employee stationed there for 6 months that said that the sun sets every day and there is no 24-hour sun in Antarctica during the summer. And then we also have explorer Mike Horn that was in Antarctica for 3 months from December through February that also said that the sun sets every day during the summer in Antarctica. So we have quite a few people that have come out saying that there is no 24-hour sun in Antarctica during the summer. So let's go ahead and take a closer listen to what some of these people have to say.
The person we have here today on Mechanics of the Fourth Wall is Robert Shortman, who spent more than a whole year in one visit in Antarctica. He was the heating engineer in Antarctica. He went there just before the summer, all through the summer, all through the whole year, all through the next summer, and then left afterwards. All of it in one stretch. So this person has been to Antarctica. This person knows what Antarctica feels like, looks like, what you can do in Antarctica, the things you have to be trained for in Antarctica, how you travel in Antarctica.
I think quite likely to do, because we may never get this opportunity. Let's face it, you might be assassinated tomorrow. Can you go through what you have, boiled down from your time in Antarctica?
Sunrise, sunset.
Yeah, the sunrise again. In the summertime, the sun is a lot higher. Then in the wintertime, it gets a lot lower, and obviously, it's the lowness that's giving it the appearance of darkness, kind of thing.
But if you would describe how the sun rises and sets, what the sun does in the summer.
Summertime, it does more of an arc, and in the wintertime, it's even flatter. So you'd be kind of doing something it's similar to that, and then obviously summertime's more that.
Up and down on the horizon, it's not going round and around above your head in circles.
No, I just sit and looked at it thinking, oh, look, the sun's spiraling above my head or something like that. It did like a better 180 arc, not like a 360. So you see it move in and move out. So it wasn't just like straight across, but yeah.
The way the as it is map describes it then.
So if you're here and your 180 is, well, if the sun's coming around doing this, you're here. From your point of view, it's going to look like 180. It's not going to be coming up here, but we have our perspective. You're here, you're going to see it come and go. The cell Earth says that it goes round, like you see in the video footage, and it's just light bending. So unfortunately, it kind of kills the cell Earth.
I have lost my connection on Rumble for some reason.
Oh, that's
and
not
I
good.
do not understand why. It looks like, it just kicked me off of there. It got a little message up here that said, oh, we're having trouble streaming. So I guess it's got to be on the Rumble side because everything was working out.
Well, Dave, I'm going to leave you. It was
all
fun.
right.
Stop it. I got to go back to work.
Hang on. Let me leave a message.
Yeah, I don't have too many problems with Rumble, but I don't go there as often. I love BitChute better. I don't have any problems with those guys.
Let's see. Is it going to allow me to send that message on Rumble? Let's see. Yeah, it does. Okay, so let me give a link over there so people can come over to here in the chat. Let's see if I can help them out. Let me paste that there. There we go. Hopefully got Rebel Patriots over there, Leo Slayer. Hopefully they'll get over here. I don't understand why that cut out on me like that, but that pisses me off. I'm not happy.
I can understand.
Anyway.
Well, I'm gonna let you go, Dave.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on, Roger. We'll talk to you later, man. Thanks for coming up.
No problem. No problem.
All right.
Apologies, Stephen Christ. Maybe you can lift your curse now. So we have it from somebody who's been to Antarctica. It does not go around. It wasn't a case that it kind of went around and then it went beyond some mountains and then came. No, it doesn't go around. It comes from one point in the horizon. It appears above the horizon, goes across the sky, goes back down beyond the horizon.
Yeah, just like what I was saying.
Jen, are you going to go with us next December? We're manifesting it in the ether. We're going next December, their summer, and you want to host a bet if we see the 24-hour sun. By the way, bro, we have a former NASA employee that was stationed in Antarctica for 6 consecutive months when they should have 24-hour sun. He said you never see the sun for 24 hours.
Now, see, that's something that's got me kind of perplexed because when that video was recorded, the one we're hearing right now, that's obviously Austin Whitsitt. And he said, we're trying to manifest this to happen in December and all this other. And now it has. And he's like, I'm not going if Duffy doesn't go, I don't know. I understand his trepidation to it. But also at the same time, I'm like, that's kind of wild. He was wanting to get that going. And then something does come about where that's going to happen. So I don't know. Still remains to be seen. I am not a future teller. I am, however, able to predict things based on patterns that I see and various factors that may seem unrelated to other people, but I find relations to them and I'm able to kind of like put them together into that's where I come up with some of my stuff. But anyway, I'll finish up with this thing here. It's only about 10 more minutes.
Never. That does not happen. And now he's a flat earther. Former NASA employee was stationed in Antarctica. So we're going to try to go. But the point is, there is hundreds of videos of that in the north, right? That like everyone has them, but there's none in the south. There's thousands of times people have circumnavigated east to west around the earth. I mean, they do it every day. No one's ever done it north to south. I mean, these would be major coincidences, right? That just so happens what could prove a globe don't exist. If you may have blew a lid on a major deception, though, like just in theory, right? Like they were planning on, I don't know.
Now they got to do
something. I've heard like a NASA former guy from NASA stationed there for 6 months said you never see the sun for 24 hours in 6 months of their summer. And so, and then obviously, you know what the Globers say? They just claim he doesn't exist and he's lying. And it's like, whatever. I mean, if we would get pretty lucky if that guy was there for 6 months and didn't see it, but we'll see.
It's unavoidable to occasionally mention it, but I know a former NASA employee. Actually, he was even stationed in Antarctica. He's a flat earther.
Now, see, I wasn't aware that it was that camp. From the video I saw, I mean, I wasn't aware that there was that many tents. And look, why are they so far apart? Is what I wonder. You know, they're like, I don't know, how far would you say that is apart from each other, those tents? It's really kind of weird, but I was not aware that there was that many little buildings like that at this camp that they go to, but I don't know.
Earther, and he's coming on my show soon, so I won't reveal too much, but you know, it's a misconception that people at NASA either know that the Earth is flying through space and space travel is real, or they're lying. That isn't how it works. They just do their job. They do their job. It's called compartmentalization. It would be very, very ineffective if they didn't do that. So, just so you know, I know multiple NASA employees that are flat earthers. So you put that together for me. All right. So
I also came across a very interesting interview with world famous explorer Mike Horn in a news article.
Mike Horn. Somebody mentioned Mike Horn in the chat just a little while ago. Yeah, that is interesting to go on there and look around. But here's the thing about that is that whenever you try to find a picture of Antarctica, like from a satellite or from space, it always looks like some kind of a cartoon pasted on something. It's almost like, and there's definite masking. You can see that masking. And it's easy to pick out, especially like on Google Earth. Like I've gone to areas like when you try to look at China Lake Naval Air Weapons Station, there's certain areas that you'll find that are like they put fake desert over where there's actually buildings. And it's crazy because as you zoom in and out, sometimes it'll lag and you'll see the buildings briefly before the camouflage comes back on it, you know, whatever they've used to mask that part of it. Not the entire thing, just certain areas on there. So it's kind of crazy.
For those of you not familiar, Mike Horn made a Antarctica expedition back in 2017. I actually did another debunk video on his expedition, but we're not going to get into the expedition so much. More want to focus on this article that was written about an interview with him. And in this article, he basically says that the sun sets every day in Antarctica. Now, to give you more context, this expedition took place between the middle of December 2016 to the beginning of February of 2017. So these are the 3 peak months of the summer solstice when you would have to see the 24-hour sun. So he makes this comment in this interview and about the sun setting every day. So let's take a closer look at this interview article here. This is the article I came across on the Mike Horn expedition from Noraplex.com. Kind of details the Mike Horn expedition in 2017. That again was from December 13th, 2016 to February 7th of 2017. And those are the 3 main months of the summer solstice in Antarctica. So this would be the 3 peak months when you would have to see a 24-hour sun above the horizon. And he's actually snow kiting from all different latitudes, from the 70th, the 80th, and obviously the South Pole, so the 90th degree latitude. So I mean, he's covering all different areas of Antarctica on this expedition for 57 days. And so if the 24-hour sun existed in Antarctica, he would objectively have to see it, right? So in this interview that they did on him, he says a comment here that I don't think he was supposed to say. I think it kind of accidentally slipped out. But he says he also reported that the sun set at night, which made for cold tent temperatures this late in the season. So he is telling you that the sun is setting at night, every night, while he's on this expedition, which is during the summer of Antarctica. So for 2 months, the sun is setting every night during the summer in Antarctica. Now,
Scooby.
I have had some people come out and say that they think he's lying. That think he's part of some kind of agenda to push flat Earth, and which is just, to me, is just completely asinine and makes absolutely no sense. I mean, this was like 7-8 years ago. I don't think he would have really had much reason to lie about this. It seems like he was on an expedition. He's an explorer. That's what he does. And he just kind of says how it is. He's like, I seen the sun setting at night every night while I was on my expedition during the summer. So, and it's not just him. This is 3 different people now. There's multiple people that were stationed in Antarctica for many consecutive months during the summer. And they're all 3 of these people are all saying that, the sun is setting at night every night in Antarctica. So it's just, more proof that there's no 24-hour sun in Antarctica during the summer.
What do y'all think, man? I mean, you know what I mean? I mean, there's this guy, supposedly very credible, Mike Horn, right? Explorer, adventurer, blah, 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 blah. We got other people who lived there 18 months or more. And they're saying that there's now, are they just part of a flat Earth psyop? What do you think?
With all of this, fakery and deception that, we've observed today that's been going on in Antarctica for years, with the faking of the 24-hour sun videos and the editing and cutting of these webcam footages at the South Pole, and like literally every day of the year. And
those tents remind me of them little pill bugs you find under rocks. You know the ones I'm talking about, them little gray ones? They roll up into it. We called them roly-polies when I was a kid. They roll up into a little ball and shit when you touch them. That's what those tents look like to me, man. Did you know those things are a crustacean? They're not a bug. They're actually a crustacean. I just found that out recently.
And just all the different fakery that they do to, hide the fact the sun sets every day in Antarctica during the summer. I think that we should be going down there and observing the sun setting. And we should just kind of, put this whole thing to bed. And, I've noticed with like this final experiment that there's been like 2 sides to it. There's one side that thinks that we shouldn't send 2 people down there, and it's a safety risk, and it could be a trap. The whole thing is suspicious. They could be faking it. And like, I get it. Like, I get where they're coming from. And there's also the other side that thinks like, hey, we got tons of evidence that, there is no 24-hour sundown. We got several people that are stationed down there that says there's no 24-hour sun, and the sun sets every day during the summer. And, we should be going down there and documenting this. And I'm kind of in that boat. I think that, for one, I think that even if they were trying to fake it, they wouldn't really be able to, because they're going to have so many different cameras down there. They're going to have infrared cameras, and they're going to have
all you got to do is take a bite of a York peppermint patty and you'll be there, man. It's cheap. That would be a way to travel though. Yeah. I ate a York peppermint patty and turned on a sun lamp in my front room, and I saw it all day.
Cameras on drones. We're going to have camera experts that are literally going to be covering this thing from every angle. And if you're actually like looking for fakery, you're going to find it, and I think it's just something that they wouldn't even be able to fake even if they wanted to.
No.
Just would have too many eyes on the sky that would easily pointed out. So I don't think, I'm not really buying the fake thing. Now, with that being said, I think that they could put a lot of cloud covering down there. And I think they could really murky up the skies with a lot of clouds to where we get down there and the skies are just overcast and cloudy the whole time for 3 days, and you can't really even see the sun, and which would be, wouldn't really be a win for either side, but it would just it would probably discourage people from ever trying to go down there and record.
Ruby dooby doo. Ruh-roh, Shaggy, right?
It again. So I think, with them knowing about this in advance, months in advance, that could kind of be the plan. Like they can't really fake it, but they could continue to hide it. So there is a very high chance of that being the case. So I wouldn't be surprised if this whole thing was canceled at the last second, and they have issues with, trying to cover it up, or trying to hide the sun settings, or like, all right, let's just cancel this whole trip at the last second. That would not surprise me at all. Just like they did with the Greater Sapien and the Glober pilot Kelsey when they canceled at the last second.
Yeah.
But I think that we should be going down there, and we should just, based off of all these other people that have been coming out recently, these whistleblowers that have been saying that the sun sets every day in Antarctica during the summer. I think, that's just more proof that there is no 24-hour sun. And I think that this could be the very, final disclosure of flat Earth, where we're giving them all this evidence and nobody's really buying it. So I think this would be the best way to go down there and say, hey, look, there's no 24-hour sun in Antarctica. And I think that would finally put this whole globe versus flat Earth debate finally to rest.
Good morning.
Hey.
How are you tonight?
Oh, very cold. How's it going?
Oh, yeah, that's right. It's wintertime down there. For those of you that don't know, Flatzoid Perspective is in South Africa, and they're doing their wintertime right now. But the upside is they got Christmas in the summer. So, hey, right?
Yeah, at least when we're having Christmas, we're on the beach, tanning.
That would be crazy, man. That would be crazy. I had a guy, a flat earther, Zetetic Warrior. This guy went off the rails one day and was telling people that if they know somebody that goes out in summertime and celebrates Christmas, they should just murder them. And I was like, what? He says, that's not right. There's no snow on the ground. I was like, holy cow, this guy's really unhinged, man. Yeah. Anyway,
So how was the interview?
It was pretty good. It was pretty good. Very cordial interview. Got a lot of questions asked. I, of course, watched body language. I'm going to break that down a little more later. And as I was pointing out, I was like, the 24-hour sun, it's not really necessary to watch that. All you have to do is see which direction the sun tracks after it goes away from you, or track how it comes in. If it comes in from a north, or from an east by northeast direction, and leaves in a west by northwest direction, then you're not on a globe. If it leaves you, or if it comes to you in the opposite direction, in other words, arcing around you, then you most certainly are. So it wouldn't even be necessary to observe the sun for 24 hours, just merely after its zenith at noon, and track whether it goes west by northwest or west by southwest.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, on a globe, you have a very specific path it needs to take. If it doesn't take that path, then there are problems. But like I said, it doesn't really matter what it shows for the flat Earth, because we don't make a claim what it is, how it needs to move. It can do anything. So it's not really an experiment to disprove flat Earth. It's just an experiment to show it disproves the globe. Well,
see, I know that I have to look south to see the sun, no matter what time of year it is. Okay. I still have to look to at least a south direction, because it's never right over top of me. The Tropic of Cancer is right about at Miami, Florida. I'm a little further than that. So it's never going to, I always have to look south. And I always notice when it sets, as I'm looking at it, it sets in the west, but in the northwest, like west by northwest, always, because I'm on the inside of its arc, right? Now, if you're looking the other way and you're on the other side of its arc, which you would be if you were at the Tropic of Cancer, that's the highest zenith that thing's going to get to, and you're south of that, you now are on what we would say is the outside of the track. You're watching the race from the outside. So the race should be coming toward you, then away from you, and not like this, because you're now on the outside of the track. You're viewing it in this direction, coming like this. So I think that would be very telling. I mean, you could do that on a cruise, really. and also stay warmer, I would say too. But I don't know. I personally, I think something's going to come up to make it not happen, because there is no way in hell they're going to let anybody go down there and check for that.
Well, haven't you seen? It's the same as if you remember all the other times they had people doing these kind of things, and then they ended up not going in. They had all these GoFundMe's with all their followers the whole time. Whatever happened to all that money?
Sapien? Remember, they were just talking about that in that video right there. Was Greater Sapien? He crowdfunded a bunch of money. They paid it, got canceled. He didn't get his money back. They never went. It was a scam.
It was like $20K.
Yeah. Ridiculous. I mean, you get brilliant cash grab on whoever engineered that, but yeah, I mean, that's pretty. I'm looking at past experiences where they've gone to do this kind of thing in the past, and just like we were showing in this video from Flatworks, this Mike Horn guy was there in the summer and said that it got cold because the sun set every night. What? So I don't know. See, that's what I'm saying. There's just, and you got to agree. I mean, it was one thing like, oh, okay, somebody wanted to set this thing up, and then had it been anyone other than the cast of Usual Suspects involved with it, I probably wouldn't have been as wary of it. But as soon as I found out that it was Toon,
yeah, but I mean, look at Toon. Toon even, is like friends with him. He's even spoken at his church and everything. Toon's one of the most dishonest guys on the anti-flatter side. Anything that guy is part of, there's nothing to trust. I'm sorry, it's just the plain out truth. So
that's
there's something dodgy about this whole thing. You frozen, man.
Me is like, there we go. I think I'm back. Stupid internet's like starting to cut out or something on me. Yes? No? Yes? No?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay, cool. But yeah, what I'm saying is that this, you should have some discernment. I mean, let's look at this realistically. As a pastor, you are considered a shepherd over your flock, and part of that is to guard them against anything of spiritual warfare nature. And of course, this requires discernment. And I don't understand how anybody could ever be around Toon or interact with him or have watched him interact and not been able to detect what he really is, especially in that regards. I mean,
I mean,
Dave Weiss's reaction. Whoa.
But I mean, the thing with Will Duffy, he's supposed to be a pastor, okay? Has he ever even attempted to look at the scriptures, what it says about the earth? You know what I mean?
Right.
Well, all I see is him doing secular stuff about the earth, not what the Bible speaks about the earth. That's just something that gives me a red flag about him and his intentions. You know what I mean? We've been in this arena long enough to see many pastors and stuff change Bible scripture to suit what they believe, misconstrued what says, and just totally just ignore what the Bible says because they have a heliocentric belief.
Mhm.
You know, and that shows the intentions of a person.
Well, see, even when I was younger, I knew that what they taught us in church about the earth and creation and everything was not a globular earth. And then later on in life, when I did first hear about flat earth, one of my first thoughts was, oh, it must be a religious thing. Why would I go right to that before, why would that be an initial assumption? Because that's what it says. And then I was telling Duffy on the show, I said, what I found kind of appalling is when I found out that there were ministers and preachers and whatnot that actually believed in the solar system and a globe earth and everything. And I never could understand how they could reconcile that with what the Bible says. And I never really could understand it other than they've been just duped or they don't really believe what they're preaching. One of those two things has to be possible, maybe both. And then later finding out that the Catholic Church, the Vatican, and the Jesuits being so instrumental in pushing this whole farcical notion forward through the last 400 or 500 years, all due to the Reformation. I think that's really telling. That was like a devil's lashback to me,
Yeah. But I think it's different for everybody, especially when they get that realization. But like I was saying, with my point, another thing is when you get these people, especially Christians and stuff that's reading the Bibles, you can see intentions if they go to the scriptures. And that's what I'm saying. Why is Will Duffy, a pastor, not actually doing the scripture? I mean, that's his whole calling in life. Why is he concentrating on doing this when he's supposed to be concentrating on getting people to God? That's what his mandate is it not?
Right. Yeah, I would imagine. Yeah, absolutely. That's why I was hoping you could make it for the show, because I knew you'd have some questions in that regards that would be along that, because I was kind of looking at it from three different prongs. And but it worked out really well. It worked out really well. If you get a chance, go back and watch it. And then, of course, we covered Flatworks' latest thing on the final experiment tonight, too. But had only a few trolls. We've got 186 watching right now. For some reason, Rumble is back on. Is that what's happening? Let me see here. Let me see if I can refresh this. It looks like the little thing is gone on my... yeah. Okay. Well, somehow it picked back up and we're back going again. Good. Rumble had cut out on me for some reason. Nobody knew why. We couldn't figure it out. But it just fixed itself. Must have been probably solar flares, most likely, or gravitational pockets. I don't know. It could have been any kind of made up manifestation. Refractor gravillax. That's exactly what it was. Yep. Let me consult with my co-pilot, something Wong. He agrees. Yes, refractor gravillax was the cause for that turbulence. Wonderful. See, that's what we got him up here for. He's like the tech guy. He's not real good at it, but he doesn't say much. He just sits back there and smiles all creepy like something. Look at that guy. Jesus. I don't know. I'm kind of wary about having my back to him, but I can see him in the camera. So if he tries to pull anything, so that's about all I've really had tonight. I think we're going 2 hours and 43 minutes here tonight. I think it was a pretty good show. I want to thank you for coming up, Flatzoid. Better late than never. Do you got anything to shout out there? You got a show probably today, yeah, or tonight?
Oh, sorry. Yeah. I've got a show tonight, obviously. Actually, I'm working on a documentary as well, guys.
Oh, nice.
And Saturday, join me. It's going to be an 8-hour long stream I'm going to be doing. So it's going to be hectic long.
Wow. And this is Saturday?
It's like just the first part of my documentary.
Oh, nice. And this is Saturday.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'll keep it. Go to Flatzoid's Perspective. If you're not subscribed, subscribe to Flatzoid. Hit the bell notification button so that hopefully, by the good graces of YouTube, if they're in a good mood, they will notify you or not. But anyway, take the chance, click that bell. You know what I'm saying? Be sure you click the like button on this broadcast tonight. Share it, subscribe to the channel. We have a lot of fun on here. We cover a lot of stuff. And I think that's all we've got. Of course, on the 18th, despite Sean Hawkins and his demons screeching into my email, did I show you that, Flatzoid, that email exchange? Or did you see it on
No,
my
but I see. No, but Sean is a very vocal on YouTube, calling you and myself cowards and liars, not constantly. So.
Oh yeah, let me just real quick. I'm gonna go over to my community page, and this is crazy. What this guy he put this email out, and it was just terrible. So I'm gonna cover his email up so that he doesn't. I think that's what the stream got cut for last night because his email address, but I think his email is already on his fucking page, but he was crying. That's all it was. So what I'm going to do is let me just bring this up. This is from my community tab. Y'all are welcome to go over there and click on that. And it says, look at this. You chickened out on debating me first, then challenged me to a debate on MDD and chickened out on presenting evidence. That's not even close to what happened. And he acted like a dick. And the guy from MDD says, it sounds like Sean Hawkins does not want to debate. And I said, okay, fine. If y'all, need a stand-in or whatever, let me know. He says, what a pathetic, clueless chicken cunt you are. You have no proof of flat earth. You have no evidence for flat earth. Your understanding of anything scientific is non-existence. And I've proven live that you're a liar. Run away and fly your white flag, you racist, xenophobic. And he spelled that wrong. It's with an X. Okay. Scum. You know what? Oh, by the way, Jackins isn't a fucking word, you illiterate. He's just a vile, toxic creature.
He's a projection overload, dude. I mean, that how racist it is of you just because he says you're a redneck hillbilly and he had to get away from that filth. And the guy projects everything onto everybody. He doesn't stop. Let's put it this way. He contradicts himself, lies, then shows him lying, contradict himself, and then projects and says, you see how we lied and contradicted ourselves by him doing that. This is how idiotic and delusional this guy is.
I said, what in the Sam hell are you talking about? I told Jaron I was fine with debating you. He gave me 2 dates, which he did. He said the 11th or the 18th. And I had this going on tonight, so I said it'll have to be the 18th. And he's like, fine, I'll get it set up. Boom. That was all the last I knew of anything. As far as I was concerned, it was happening. I announced it on here. I announced it on Flatzoid. It's in the works.
I told him that, and then he said I'm lying.
Yeah.
Just because he wanted a timestamp, and I said, no, you watch my stuff anyway. I'm not going to do your homework for you. Then, you guys are just lying.
Yeah. He said,
wait. Let me make it more Sean Hawkins. Beep, 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 beep. You like beep, 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 like beep, 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 beep.
No doubt, man. This guy is really just a vile, toxic, golem-like creature. And he cracks me up with it. I mean, it really does, because, man, he is not looking well. He never did look well, but recently he looks really bad, man. And I think it's just like with that anger and that hate and shit, it starts eating you. You start becoming that emotion. That's exactly what goes on. But I said, he gave me 2 dates. I chose one. I'm not afraid of you or anything you present, so I have no reason to back out at all. Quite the contrary, I'm looking forward to it. Where is this coming from? Where did you get the impression I backed out? Are you drunk again? And the reason he got
Well-
the impression that I backed out is because he sent me an email and I did not answer it immediately.
But
I didn't even see it.
the thing that gets me with him, though, why would anybody be afraid to debate that guy? He's one of the
Oh my
dumbest
God.
guys on the internet.
He's a clown. He's a
He
clown.
literally has no idea about anything he talks about. Half the things he just says, no, then Googles it and says, oh, it does say that, and still just says, no.
Yeah. That's as bad as Luch, man. In fact, he tried to come up here on here today, and I just clicked on ban from studio. I'm not falling for his crap, man. I'm not falling for that. I know what his objective is. His objective is to come onto the show and derail it from its content. And he's masterful at it. And I'm not giving him the platform on here anymore. It's just not happening. I don't have time for that foolery. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, insults are arguments employed by those who are in the wrong. Jean-Jacques Rousseau. Yes, I've heard that. That's a good one. That's a good one. I'm going to put that up on
Unless
the
warranted,
screen.
though. Think about it. Unless it's warranted.
Yeah. Where
Some
did it
people
go?
deserve insults.
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, I agree. We're supposed to though. We're supposed to. It's so hard. It is so hard because there's that little bit of Schadenfreude that comes in from giving them that frickin' zinger, but we're really not supposed to lash out in anger, but I understand. Yeah, there's sometimes it's just like once you've told someone something and they ask you the same thing again and again and again, it's like, okay, what is your game, man? Nobody, my dogs learn quicker from the repetition, and it's like, it just like, if I finally, I'll see it for what it is. I'm like, you're just wasting my time. You know that if you take up my time, wasting my time, you're preventing me.
Yeah. Oh, see, frozen again.
I swear, this damn internet connection. Look, it's the internet connection. I'll tell you what, it's good that we're toward the end of the show then. So, all right. Well, I think that's about all we've got here tonight. We're coming up close to 3 hours. That's a pretty long show. So we got a 8-hour marathon monster stream going on Flatzoids on Saturday on the 18th. That's 1 week from today. On Jaredism
it's a few days from now. It's a few days from
the
now.
18th. Yeah, the 18th. That's 7 days.
No,
Yeah,
it's Wednesday today. So Thursday,
Oh,
Friday,
yeah,
so it's
yeah,
3
yeah.
days.
Wait. No, I'm talking about until we get to the 18th.
Oh, for that debate.
Yeah, see, it's still Tuesday where I'm at. At least for another 8 minutes.
I'm a time traveler. Oh, no.
You are a time traveler. You've come from the future. Tell us what's going to happen. Come on, tell us what's going to happen. You're 6 hours ahead of us. Tell us what's going to happen.
People will wake up and they'll eat and drink and they'll use the bathroom. And the Globe believers will still push their nonsense. And yeah, same every day.
He predicted something. And I'm sure that if we see that prediction happen, that will mean that what Plato just said is science. Yes. Even though it's just a pattern and he post-dicted it. Okay.
Exactly. I just did science, guys. I made an observation and a prediction, and it's going to happen. So I just showed science.
There it is. See, you can't get any better than that. We're going to start getting some funding from the government soon, real soon. All right, folks. Well, I want to thank everybody who showed up to watch the show this evening. We had a really great crowd in the chat. I'm sorry if I didn't get around to giving everybody a shout out, but it's getting harder and harder and harder because there's too many people. Well, there's no such thing as too many people. I mean, there's just so many of them. A lot of names that I'm familiar with, some that are new. So welcome everybody, and thank you for coming on. Flatzoid, I want to thank you for coming up tonight. I want to also throw thanks out there to Burn the Corporate Fiction, and of course, Pastor Will Duffy, who made this show possible by its title tonight. So as we always say, don't forget the Lord loves a working man. Don't trust Whitey, and see your doctor and get rid of him, because, well, he'll probably kill you. So good night from me and Something Wong and Flatzoid.
Cheerio.